you're on.
Okay, great. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our City Council meeting. Today is Monday, August 17th, 2020. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we begin and before we have our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask you to please rise for a brief moment of silence as we reflect back on the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of Las Cruces Police Department and Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, if you join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, and next we're going to have Head of the Week introduction by Jennifer Martinez from our Communications Office.
That's right. Thank you, Mayor. Let me find our pet. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Gibson. Let's see. Are you able to see Gibson?
No, not yet. There he is.
Okay. All right. Well, Gibson has an amazing smile. I think you can see that right there. You can spend the last few weeks of summer with this furry pal. He is social and he loves group activities. You'll probably need to keep him socially distant because he'll probably want to jump in with the group. He is a free spirit and has a very active attitude. And he is, of course, great for any family that is looking to make the most out of their time. You can take him for a walk, doggy dates, and more. Well, you can meet him. He is at the Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley. You will, of course, need to make an appointment if you do want to adopt him. Let's see here. Number is there on the bottom of your screen. It's 3820018. And the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, noon to 6 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, noon to 5 p.m. Of course, you would need to call first to make that appointment within those hours that you can visit. Offsite adoption events are canceled until further notice. If you do go to the Animal Service Center and you're looking to adopt, you're going to need to go online first to take a look at some of the animals that are available. That email or that website address is ascmv.org/adoptions. Right now, the adoptions are $25, and there are some limitations once you do get there because of the limited staff. The animal control folks are only bringing in emergency cases to the shelter. They're only bringing in sick or injured owner-surrendered animals, and of course, they're only taking emergency health appointments from those that they have adopted out or foster animals. And again, our communications office wants to bring you some COVID information. If you go to our website that we have dedicated to COVID-19 information, that's COVID-19loscruces.com. You can find certainly a plethora of information. If you see it on your screen, the section in blue, I'm going to click right here. This is what we're talking about today, the dashboard. You're going to have some information like an interactive map with data from the health department, county numbers, zip code numbers, the number of deaths, the total number of tests taken in the state, hospitalizations, all kinds of information there. And you can also find some more information as far as tips on how to keep healthy and safe from the coronavirus. Thank you so much, Mayor. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. Thank you, Jennifer. Next, this is something new that we just started last council meeting, and that's Jobs of the Week. And I believe we have Darlene Lopez who's going to be presenting.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is Darlene Lopez, one-stop operator for the New Mexico Workforce Connection offices. So our Jobs of the Week, we have our policy analyst at the City of Las Cruces, and that will be closing on the 31st of this month. We have our facilities and vehicle maintenance, and there's one position. It's a technician. That's one position, South Central Regional Transit District, and that will be open until filled. We also have field services technician. There's one position there, and that's with Megahertz Computer Consulting, and that's open until filled. We have program performance analyst. We have one position there, and that's with the South Central Council of Governments, and that will be open until filled as well. We have caregiver with Haciendas at Grace Village, and that is also open until filled. And last, we have security analyst, and that is with Ignite Fueling Innovation, Inc. There's one position there, and that closes, well, it's saying 8/9, but it's still on here, so I'm guessing it's still open. So for more information, a full list of jobs, internship, and volunteer opportunities, please visit us at employnm.com. And you can also visit governmentjobs.com/careers/Las Cruces. And if you are looking for information about our local office, we have the local Las Cruces office. The phone number is 575-524-6250. And the office is located at 226 South Alameda Boulevard. And again, for information about this office or any other information about the programs and the support that we provide, you can go to employnm.com. And I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Darlene. So if an employer wants to advertise a job, they can reach out to you and you will put it on your website. Maybe not necessarily, I guess you just randomly pick jobs to announce like you did just now.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, we have an initiative that was launched by the Cabinet Secretary, Bill McCamley, and it's actually called All Hands New Mexico. And that's a platform that they launched after COVID. And it's basically a really quick form that an employer could fill out, and that would be sent to our regional representative. And that would basically launch a conversation between our Workforce Connection office that's most closely located where they are at. And that would facilitate us to be able to list the job posting. And then also, that's where we are getting the jobs for this announcement each week. So we're looking specifically at that list from that platform. So you can find that through the EmployNM that's listed here on the slide. So if you go to employnm.com, on that first landing page, you're going to find a tab that says Post Jobs, and that's going to take you right to the form. And then from that point, it's going to move to our listing, which will ultimately get it on this presentation each week.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, Darlene.
Thank you.
Okay, next will be a presentation of certificates, which I don't believe we have any. So I'll go now to the conflict of interest statement. This is where I'll ask if any member of the city council, city manager, or city staff has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None.
None.
None, Mayor.
Okay, seeing none, now we're going to go to public participation. I have a few emails to read. Excuse me, since we don't have in live, but we are looking at various ways to allow other means of public participation. So the first one I have is from Beth O'Leary. And Beth subject is to name a school after Clarence Fielder. Please read the attached record. It says, we need to honor local heroes. In this time of contested history, it has become difficult to choose an appropriate way to recognize individuals who played a part in history. People in the past lived out the ideas, values, and cultural behaviors of their time. Few rose above them. The 17th Spanish conquistador, Juan de Oñate, was no exception, and attaching his name to one of our high schools is now considered by some to condone or even celebrate his many violent actions. On August 5th, when the Las Cruces School Board decided on a new name for Oñate High School, they wanted their choice to memorialize a culturally neutral person, place, or thing which would cause no offense. They manifestly succeeded, as Oregon Mountain High School celebrates an entity which does not exist. There are a number of named peaks in the Oregon Mountain Range, but Oregon Mountain is not one of them. And while it is true that Oregon Mountain never killed anybody, as the school board president pointed out, Las Cruces lost a rare opportunity to honor a local hero and educator by renaming the school after him, Clarence H Fielder. Clarence Fielder was born in Las Cruces in 1928, a grandchild of early Black pioneers. They founded the Phillips Chapel, which also served as a segregated school for young Black adults, as Lincoln High School from 1925 to 1934. Mr. Fielder was educated here and became a celebrated teacher from 1949 in the Las Cruces Public Schools and later at New Mexico State University, where he retired in 2005. Here are a few things he said. One, the student always comes first. Children deserve to be educated in pleasant and safe surroundings. Know thyself. Wisdom is what we receive from our elders and what we pass down from generation to generation. It includes your history, your culture, and your religion. When you add all this to your knowledge, then you have acquired wisdom. Then you know yourself. It is important for people to know their heritage. It's important for people to remember whence they came. Clarence H Fielder, an African-American historian and teacher, was educated at the segregated elementary and secondary schools for Black children in Las Cruces. His education began at the first Booker T. Washington School when it was a little more than 2 tar paper shacks at the corner of Chestnut and Solano. Later, he graduated from the newly constructed, quote, 1934, Booker T. Washington, where all Black children attended grades 1 through 12. Mr. Fielder got a BA in Business Administration from New Mexico A&M College, now New Mexico State University. As a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, he fought in Korea and was awarded the Purple Heart and the Silver Star after refusing to leave his fellow soldiers despite receiving serious wounds. After his tour of duty, he returned to Las Cruces and continued to teach, and he taught at Booker T. Washington, Court Junior High, Alameda Elementary, and Alameda Elementary and Alameda Junior High School. Mr. Fielder earned his MA in Education from New Mexico State. He was instrumental in creating the curriculum for Black History program at NMSU and taught 70 semesters there from 1970 to 2005. Some of the positions he held and the awards he received include Las Cruces Public Schools Board of Education. He was a board member, Board of Directors, Las Cruces Public Schools Foundation president, or president of the Doña Ana County Historical Society, State Teacher of the Year, Outstanding Educational Service Award, Riot Award from the African American Museum and Cultural Center in Albuquerque, and was recognized twice by the New Mexico Office of Cultural Affairs for outstanding individual accomplishments in preserving the history of African Americans, and the Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award when Mr. Fielder passed away in 2015. Las Cruces Mayor Ken Miyagashima said, "Clarence Fielder was an icon of our community. Las Cruces has lost a kind and gentle man, a great educator, and a great mentor. When a community chooses to honor those who have made an extraordinary impact in its history, they should first look at heroes close to home. Mr. Clarence H. Fielder is bigger than a mountain and deserves to have a school named in his honor. The place to look for a name is right here in Las Cruces community." So thank you, Ms. O'Leary, for that, and I agree. Clarence Fielder was a great man, and for those of you, just to let you know, the Silver Star is the 3rd highest medal the Army gives for valor. The first one, Medal of Honor. The second one, the Distinguished Cross, and then the Silver Star. That he was a war hero. Okay, let's see. The next one is from Charlotte Lipson. New Zealand records 100 days without community transmission of COVID-19. New Zealand has marked 100 days without a domestic transmission of the coronavirus, but leaders have warned against complacency as countries like Vietnam and Australia, which once had the virus under control, now battle a resurgence in infections. New Zealand's successful fight against COVID-19 has made the Pacific island nation of 5 million people one of the safest places in the world right now. Citizens have returned to normal life, but authorities are concerned that people have begun to refuse testing and avoiding the government contact tracing apps and even ignoring basic hygiene rules. Achieving 100 days without community transmission is a significant milestone. However, as we all know, we can't afford to be complacent, said New Zealand Director of General Health, Ashley Bloomfield. We all have seen overseas how quickly the virus can reemerge and spread in places where it was previously under control. And we need to be prepared to quickly stamp out any future cases in New Zealand, he said. New Zealand currently has 23 active cases in managed isolation facilities and 1,219 COVID-19 cases in all so far. Health authorities have recorded a total of 22 deaths related to the virus. The nation has attributed its success to stringent border control measures, a strict lockdown, and a widespread program of testing and contact tracing. But other nations such as Vietnam, which went 3 months without detecting any domestic transmission is now racing to control a new outbreak in Danang, fueling fears in New Zealand that further loosening of measures could spark a similar resurgence. Okay, thank you, Charlotte. I'm happy to see that cases in our county and statewide tend to be decreasing, but that's true. Let's not become complacent. Next one is from Mark Cobb. He sent this to Councilor Yvonne Flores, which I think you all heard, and we all know that she's out of town. Good morning, Yvonne. I'm writing to request you table the approval for the vote of over $210,000 salary for the new city manager, at least until a determination can be made whether the city council should continue the city manager form of government or the alternative strong form that many cities are migrating to in order to curb costs. The current and future mayors could take on some of the former high-profile duties of the city manager and at the same time receive a modest increase in salary. Of course, this might entail a mayor to terminate or exclude other non-city areas and business. What with the horrible economic environment, which we will be in for the next several years due to the virus and drastic reduction in oil revenues, necessitating a reduction in state and local infrastructure projects, the city could position itself to be less affected by funding cuts. I believe it is time for the state and local organizations to sever themselves from the mantra of feeling that they have to offer compensation in excess of comparable positions elsewhere in order to snare the best candidate. Unfortunately, this developing custom has now found itself deeply embedded in higher education instruction and administrative personnel budgets and CEO searches within large corporations. I can state this with personal verification in having been a financial advisor for years in the city and having had assistant coaches earning 6-digit salaries 8 years ago, ! I don't believe the city needs to instill personnel compensation policies similar to what we see is now going on in professional sports such as the NFL, NBA, and NCAA football head coaches and assistants. I hope you feel the same way and vote against this exorbitant salary for a potentially non-necessary city manager. Regards, Mark. So I just wanted to say a little bit about that. Thank you, Mark, for your comments. I think that's the great thing about our country. We get to question our elected officials and concern about our taxpayer dollars. So later on in the meeting, you're going to see a budget adjustment from $169,000 to $279,000. Keep in mind, it's been over a year and a half since we've had a permanent city manager, so that $169,000 was really for our interim. Stuart Eade, former city manager, full-time, was making $181,000 with benefits of about $54,000 for a total of $235,000. So technically, the increase is going from $235,000 to $279,000, which is about 18.7%. As far as being a strong form mayor, that is actually something that would have to be voted on by the public, because in our charter, it does not allow that. Charter allows just for city council and myself to be policymakers, and that we instill the position of running the day-to-day operations of the city with the city manager. So I think when you look at that, what we were previously paying Stuart versus now 18% to get what we feel is a highly qualified individual, I think is still a great deal. So, but we appreciate your comments and sending us your letter. Okay, so that will end public participation. Now I'm going to read a closed meeting statement. Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 9:02 a.m. on August 10th, 2020. The following members were in attendance: Councilors Flores, Sorg, Bencomo, Vasquez, Abeyta-Stuve, Gandara, and myself, Ken Miyagishima. Also attending was David Maestas, Interim City Manager, David Dallahan, Assistant City Manager, Jennifer Vega Brown, our City Attorney, Miguel Dominguez, Interim City Chief, Las Cruces Police Department, and Mark Standrich, outside City Attorney or Counsel for the City. The meeting adjourned at 10:21 a.m. And for the record, the City Council met in closed session and only discussed those limited items as stated in the posted notice, which was to discuss the pending litigation regarding Warren McCowan versus Mark Morales number CV 17-902 MLC/GJF U.S. District Court, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 7. Okay, so now we're going to go to acceptance of the agenda. Now, before we go to that, as you know, the applicant for Royal Crossings has removed themselves from discussion, and so items number 9.4 and items number 9.7 through 9.16 can be removed. So when we have a motion and a second, if we could also be sure to include to have those removed, so those won't have to be voted on. So I'll just need a motion and a second to accept the agenda as presented with items 9.4 and 9.7 through 9.16 removed.
So moved, Mayor.
I'll second it, Mayor. This is Councilor Sorg.
Motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Councilor Sorg. Christine?
This is on the motion to accept the agenda with the removal of items 9.4 and 9.7 through 9.16 in their entirety from the agenda. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve.
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez.
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo.
Yes.
Councilor Sorg.
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Okay, I believe we're going to go to item 8.1, which was old business. So we're going to need a motion and a second to remove from the table.
Move to remove from the table.
Second. Gandara.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Mayor Pro Tem Gandara to remove from the table. Christine?
This is on the motion to remove Resolution 21-019 from the table for discussion. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve.
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez.
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo.
Yes.
Councilor Sorg.
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Okay, before we get to Mr. Larry Nichols and Dr. Tim Pitts, I have a letter I'd like to read on behalf of the Las Cruces Home Builders Association. It's addressed to David Maestas. Dear Mr. Maestas, this letter is regarding our Community Development Director, Larry Nichols' presentation on August 10th to City Council titled Public Opportunity to Learn More About Building Permit Fees. The association is aware that this could possibly come to a vote this coming Monday, August 17th by City Council. If this is so, the Las Cruces Home Builders Association is respectfully asking the City Council to postpone this vote on building permit fees until after the Las Cruces Home Builders Association has had the opportunity to make their presentation during the work session with City Council on August 24th. We strongly feel our presentation will help them better understand the economic impact of home building and land development. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact myself or Executive Director Nicole Black, signed by Anna Rivera, Las Cruces Home Builders President, and Desert View Homes. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Larry Nichols and Dr. Pitts.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of City Council, Larry Nichols, Community Development. We will be discussing with you this afternoon agenda item number 8.1 is the resolution repealing the sections and containing the new building permit fees. This is our third visit with this particular item. We had a regular City Council meeting. It was tabled to this meeting, and then we also had a work session. From that work session, there was several items that came up that you asked us to look into more. We did that, and the amendment has been drafted for your review, and that'll be Exhibit A. And I think, Christine, do we need to have that read into the record, or do we need to have the item come off the table so that we can act on the amendment?
I attached it to the packet within the 72 hours, so we're just going to switch them out.
All right, with that then, I'll share my screen and have Dr. Pitts speak to you about the amendment, and hopefully you see the screen now.
I do, Larry. And Dr. Pitts, before you began, if you could just answer one question is, so the home builders, I know had reserved some time for a work session, but my other question is, were they not invited to share their presentation to council at the work session that we had last week? Were they not aware of the work session that we were having?
They were, I believe, but they were scheduled to have a work session with you over a separate issue. It was not really directly related to the permit fee increase.
Oh, okay.
And so they were already scheduled for next week.
So you're saying that, yeah, because I know this has been on the schedule for about a month or two. So you're telling me that this work session schedule for next week on the 24th was not in direct discussion, or was not for a presentation to be made as to why you shouldn't be taking a rate increase?
I do not believe that was their intent. Their intent was to discuss. They came to the city manager's office several months back, asking to be able to present their issues, and the building permit fees they were aware of the changes, but it was completely independent of this. So it just so happens that they're coming, a week apart. It's
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure. I didn't want them to be. I just wanted to clarify that. Yes, Larry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, Larry Nichols, Community Development, for the record. Actually, the Home Builders Association had wanted to have a work session with the City Council starting back before the COVID virus began, clear back in February and March. And we scheduled them, but then they had to ask for a rescheduling. They said that they didn't have their presentation quite prepared. And we rescheduled, and then they had to delay it once again. And then we had to reschedule them ourselves because the COVID virus items came up. And so we settled finally on today's date, on next Monday's date. So there's been 3 attempts at this, but the topics I think they wanted to cover was basically not specifically related to the building fee increase. It probably will be a part of it, but it wasn't solely for that issue, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. And in all fairness to the home builders, one of those times was removed because of me. I needed to have something put on the agenda, and
Yes,
I removed it and placed them on another time. So I apologize to them on that. I just wanted to make it very clear that they did not have a presentation ready to go regarding what you're going to be discussing right now. So we're good. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Tim Pitts, Deputy Director in Community Development. And as Larry has said, we've gone over this 2 times before, discussed this for several hours, so we're not going to repeat our presentation. I want to just go forward with what we changed based on our discussions in the past 2 meetings. So as you're aware, we are in the middle of a process of updating all of our plans, all of our codes, all of our fees. This is phase 2 of our fee changes. We'll have phase 3 coming next year with development fees, zoning fees, subdivision fees, those sorts of things coming in. So this is part of a large project that community development has undertaken since we went through the peak performance thing. So probably the biggest thing that I heard in the past couple of weeks, past couple of sessions, was on the infill. And so what we did is we went back to what our procedures are for doing infill, and decided that what we should do is codify it and put it down. What is it that we do for infill? The procedure was somewhat vague. It's established in code, but it doesn't say exactly how you should go about it. So as staff has changed, the procedures have changed. And then there was some issues of some parts of the code that were removed for other purposes that were being used by Infill. And so this is just a way for us to get back to where we believe that Infill was. Already in the Las Cruces Building Code, which is chapter 30 of your Las Cruces Municipal Code, there is a place for no building fees to be charged on single-family homes that meet the infill process. So that is, they're built on underutilized or vacant lots. And so that's there, and I think that's what everybody is kind of looking at when they say, "Oh, there's no fees in infill." It is very specific to single-family homes. It does not include commercial. It does not include other things, and it's only for building permit fees. So I heard from City Council that they believe that all building fees should be available to be forgiven, or we're going to call it as an incentive for development in that area. So we established a process for handling the infill requests regarding fees. We already have a very established process for handling infill requests in terms of subdivision, or if somebody needs to do something with zoning or setbacks or something like that. But this is just specific to the fees. By request, commercial and other construction that meet the infill criteria will qualify for reimbursement. So they have to request it. And when they do, staff will be given the opportunity to determine whether this is an infill project or not. If it is an infill project, then we can forgive the building fee. And the way we propose to do that is to have the fee charged and then to reimburse it at the certificate of occupancy stage. So once it's built and they're ready to occupy, we'll reimburse them their fees. This will help in many projects start but never get going and so on. So this is an incentive. If they're not actually building, then it doesn't really do us any good. We didn't accomplish anything. So that's part of our proposal in here. If they wish to have other fees reimbursed, they can request that, and we'll take it to P&Z, and we do that on a very expedited process. We'll take them to the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It's available, and allow P&Z, and that keeps it out of staff's hands to decide who is paying fees and who isn't paying fees. Now it's somebody appointed by you, a board appointed by the City Council that's making that decision, which I think protects staff from accusations of being unfair or anything. And if at any point someone disagrees, this is true of almost everything in the code, in the zoning code and the subdivision code. If they disagree with staff, it can go to P&Z for review. And then we establish if there's large reimbursements, and sometimes there are. The hospital on the country club property is, I think Larry might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were supposed to pay somewhere in the order of $65,000 in building fees, and those were exempted in that case. The problem I have with exempting or zeroing out fees is that you can't track what you're giving away. You can't track what's happening because it just says zero. And so I think I don't think that's good transparency. I think that we have an obligation to you, and I have a fiduciary responsibility to the city to make sure that we are tracking what resources we're using to do projects. So, but in that case, that was a very large one, and I think it would have been better had it gone to City Council. So that's what we're proposing to do on in what we're calling now the Infill Incentive Program. It's not really any different from what we've been doing, except that it's clarifying things and making it clearer how we're going to handle it. And then the only other two modifications we made was we changed the effective date of the fees to November 1st. Because we're not going to be able to get the fees fixed in the online system before September 1st. There's just no way. We don't have enough time to program that. It's going to be ambitious to get it done by November 1st, to tell you the honest truth. And then we removed the traffic impact analysis review fee from this phase and said we'll just return with it in phase 3. It wasn't well thought out. We heard from at least 1 or 2 council members that they were not happy with that, and so we thought, well, let's instead of trying to come up with a solution right now, let's go back to bring it back since we have that next phase coming up. And that's all I have for changes we made. If you need for me to go back to any of the older slides, we can do that. But that's what we're presenting to you and would ask you to consider this resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. Before I get to Councilor Sorg, just on the average house, Dr. Pitts, how much of an increase do you think these fees are going to increase the cost of the house? $1,000, $2,000, $500?
This is commercial and trade permits only. The residential went last year, and you'll recall last year we went up about I think it was about $120, I think, on the fees, something along those lines for an average 2,000 square foot house, let's say. So this one will not affect those residential fees. It will affect the trades when they come in, and it'll probably raise them a couple $100, maybe $200.
Okay, so like for a $250,000 building, you think it might go up maybe $200 or $300?
At most 300, yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay, we have Councilor Sorg and Councilor Vasquez. Councilor Sorg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm a little confused, Mr. Pitts and Mr. Nichols. You were showing me that in a document you sent me that these infill projects, if the fees waived amount to over $5,000, they would have to be approved by the city council. And yet this hospital got $65,000. Explain why the difference there.
The $5,000 maximum, Tim Pitts again, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Sorg, the $5,000 maximum is a new introduction that we're putting in now because we felt that it was not, you weren't being told what was happening. And so to me, this is something new that's a transparency thing for us. We did not do that in the past. We had prior to 2017, we had a portion of I think it's Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code that allowed the Community Development Director to waive fees. And that's what we were using. That was removed in 2017. So we lost that ability to use that fee waiver. And so that's why you didn't see that is that then it was a community development director decision.
Okay, I guess my bad. I misunderstood the communication. I thought that was in effect all the time, and you're proposing it now. So that's the difference. Okay, that's fine. What's the difference between having a fee waived automatically, and it's never charged in the first place, and having a fee needing a request to be waived? Why have the request when they can always have that fee waived?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Sorg, the difference is that in this case, we have 2 circumstances. So we have a vacant and we have an underutilized parcel. And underutilized is defined. What is underutilized is the question that comes. Vacant is easy. You can determine something's vacant. You can go out there and look at the map and say, yes, there's no building on that property. It's now nothing is charged. So we could do that. And when the infill policy was adopted in 2001, that's how it was. And it was just vacant. And if it was vacant, you did it. I think it was used twice from 2001 to 2007. So they said, well, we're not using it enough. So it's not making any difference. And so in 2007, they came back with the infill including underutilized. So if you had something that was smaller than it could be, you could fit another building, you could you had a parking lot or you had a small house and you were going to make it into a commercial building, those could now be counted as infill properties. But that requires somebody to make a determination of whether this is infill or not infill. Does this meet the infill? If you're just saying I'm in the infill area and I want to have this as I want to have no fees, that's not how the infill policy was written, and that's not how the code reads. It says if it meets certain requirements, and those requirements are things like if it has not had utility service for a period of time, or if it has had very high vacancy rates for an extended period of time. It was never intended, at least that as it was written, was not intended to apply to every property. And so if someone has to make it, and that's why we say they have to ask for it, because otherwise, how do we know what that they're wanting to use it? And what we find is most people don't. You're normally finding out in a lot of these cases that they're saving. If it's a residential, they're saving $400 in building fees, and it's just not worth the wait for it to go through P&Z. So that's why I don't think that there's any real reason we couldn't do it another way. It's just that there's no way to predetermine what is underutilized and what is being utilized exactly the way someone wants to use it.
But all people that are doing these properties that are, okay, call them underutilized, abandoned building, for example, if they are wanting to remodel it, change its purpose and have to do a lot of construction on it, for what reason, why would we refuse to have them be the fees waived? I just don't understand. If you're going to improve a piece of property, then I would think it's be valid to have a fee waived, the fees waived. But that's just me.
The Mayor, Councilor Sword, Tim Pitts again. I absolutely, if that's what City Council wants to do, that's fine. But that's not how the code reads to us. So if somebody has a house and they're remodeling it because they want to have a nicer house, we've never determined that to be an underutilized property, and so would never have considered that to be eligible for a fee waiver. But if that instead what you're saying is council wishes it to be that anybody that's doing any work in the infill area like that, I think it would require an ordinance change, though, because that's not how the ordinance reads.
Okay, well, all I ask is that we revisit this bit and at a future date and see what we can do for options on this. I just want to encourage more development, more redevelopment, et cetera, in the infill area. And we can talk about different ways of doing that later. Okay, I'll thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Larry, did you have something you wanted to add? Larry Nichols?
I did. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, Larry Nichols, Community Development. And Councilor Sword, last week we had I sent you some information that you requested, and a part of that we said maybe we need to have a separate session, a work session about updating the infill development policy. As Dr. Pitts mentioned, it was, I think, formed back in early 2001. And, business practices change, approach to business changes. And I think that would probably be a very good idea that we would go back and look at that to enable us to have these benefits and incentives available to folks.
Mr. Mayor, could I just add a little something to that too?
Sure.
If you're improving the value of that property, the property taxes are going to go up. So we'll get a return, shall we say. And then if there's construction, don't the construction company pay GRT? So there'll be added taxes there too. Anyway, just mentioning that. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Thank you, Mayor.
I noticed Mr. Thurston. Mr. Thurston, I don't mind you asking a question. But usually I'm going to defer to council members first, and then you, sir. So we have Councilor Vasquez is next, and then Mayor, and then thought Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, and then Mayor Pro Tem, but maybe she got her question answered. Councilor Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Larry and Dr. Pitts. Just a couple of clarification questions here. So with the amendment to this ordinance, we are codifying the waiving of fees for new residential buildings on single-family homes within the infill area. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, that's actually already in code. So that's already available to anybody who's doing a new single-family home in, it's in the portion on new homes, not in the portion on remodels of homes. So,
but that is happening already currently.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you mentioned the process for infill development when it comes to the negotiations for zoning requirements and setbacks. What is that process like, and how often have you done that?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, we do that on a pretty regular basis, where the planner will discuss that when somebody comes in, and so we try and do the best we can to do it without as minimally as possible. I'd say we have discussions of that about once a month or so. We don't end up taking too many projects to P&Z because for the most part things can be handled through administrative procedures, and the code does allow us to use administrative procedures to the extent possible, and so we do that, and I think that our planners are very effective in coming up with kind of innovative ways of doing something, and usually it's somebody wants to build a triplex on something that only allows for 2 homes or something like that. Is that type of a thing? It doesn't really need to go to a board. It's something that the code allows us to do that administratively.
What about the instance of maybe a traditionally residential or property that has a commercial lot or something attached to it that doesn't have the proper setbacks perhaps, but wants to start a business like in the Mesquite district or something? Is that an instance where you would also negotiate in terms of as part of it being an infill property?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, yeah, we would do that. I wouldn't necessarily call it a negotiation as much as us trying to find areas in code and so on that allow for the development that the property owner is looking for. But absolutely a land use or something like that. That's depending on what's happening, they can do it as a home occupation, or if they can do it, there's a lot of things we can do, and if it does require it, we do take it. I would say certainly the hospital went to P&Z. I don't know that we do more than 1 or so a year going to the Planning and Zoning Commission that requires that, because as I say, most people, what they're looking for is they just need a setback, or they're just looking for something small that the lots are weird shaped or something, and they need a little bit of help, and we can usually handle that.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. And my last question is in terms of the redevelopment of underutilized properties, for like a remodel, like let's say I wanted to buy the old Dynasty restaurant or the China Palace or whatever it's called right in front of it, and I wanted to turn that into a daycare, Gabe's Crazy Kids or something, right? It would require for me to probably significantly make a lot of changes to the daycare facility, and to turn it from a restaurant into a place that would be apt for kids, maybe at a playground or something. So if I wanted to do that in an area that has been underused or has been vacant. With the fees, the permit fees for the redevelopment of that particular area, including the inspections, right? There's going to be a lot of changes structurally and maybe electrics and maybe all kinds of other stuff. Are those currently waived under this particular amendment?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, we currently it's vague in code on whether we could waive those fees or not, because it's not a residential new project. With the modification we've provided, it would make it very much worthwhile for that property owner to come back in and say, I want to make a proposal that all of my fees get waived, and not just building, but I'm going to come in, I'm going to say I want my electrical fees waived, I want my plumbing fees waived, I want my sign fee waived, and they'll have that open to them, which is, I think, the intent of the infill policy, is to allow for that. But as it was not expressly written that way, it's very difficult for us to enforce that code. So this now gives us the guidance of how we do that. And that is, we take that to P&Z, and again, that'll be the next P&Z meeting with a project of the magnitude you're talking about that would have no impact whatsoever on the timeline of their project. It would just be something that would go parallel to their permitting, and then they could ask for all of those fees to be reimbursed to them, and it'd be worth it. It would be a significant fee. And that, to me, that's a huge incentive that you're providing to somebody to come in and use an underutilized, or in these cases, you're talking about vacant buildings that probably they're underutilized in the sense that they haven't been used.
Thank you. Well, I am submitting an application for Gabe's Crazy Kids Corral next week. So thanks. I appreciate having access to that. No, Dr. Pitts, I think we should definitely agree with Councilor Sorg that we should perhaps revisit this further. I'm fine approving this today and then seeing how else we can tweak this in the future. If it was up to me, we would be advertising this publicly. We would have a sign in front of all those properties that I'm sure NAI and Steinborn and a couple of these other guys wouldn't mind having to advertise filling some of those empty vacant lots alongside some of their for sale or for lease signs. I think if we wait for people to come to us and inquire and go through a process to apply to see if they're eligible, it's not as strong of a policy as if we clearly market it, if we have signage outside the buildings, if we can label, certain properties that are with a certain insignia or something that signifies to a potential business owner, somebody who would lease the property or invest in it, that, hey, you might be better off spending your money here than in a brand new shopping center somewhere in another part of town because of these incentives that you do get, or building out completely new somewhere else. But just, looking over that new proposed development that we're having some discussions about now that will really add a lot of amenities and commercial capabilities and lots of housing. And while I think it's a great project, I also think, man, that just continues to take development away from the center of the city and opportunities away from the center of the city. And so I think we balance that out where there's open land, where there's opportunity, where there's brand new buildings. We have to balance that out in the inner part of the city to say, okay, here's how we even the scales. If you'd rather go to El Paseo than you go to, Mesa Drive or whatever, then here's what you get. So I would love to revisit that at a future work session. And I'm willing to bet that there's some really innovative experts out there in the area of infill who probably have done some similar projects or have looked at, how to change infill policies within certain parts of the city that would be able to provide some additional expertise that I'm happy to research or provide some input as far as who could provide us some guidance on some additional best practices on that. But as of now, thank you, Dr. Pitt and Larry for listening and for bringing this back to council. I know this is all something that it seemed like we all wanted, and so I really appreciate having the amendment to codify some of these things that we talked about during the last work session. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, and good luck on your new venture. Let's see here. We got Mayor Pro Tem Gandara.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I felt like my button was stuck.
Your what was stuck?
My button to
Oh,
unmute
button.
off. Yeah, that sounded weird. Sorry, I wish I could take that back. Dr. Pitts, Larry, thank you for the presentation. Do you have the pay fees structure handy on a slide?
Mayor and Council, Mayor Pro Tem, this is Larry. Let me see if I can bring that up. I believe I do.
I think it's page 461 of page 1153, Mayor Pro Tem.
I remember seeing it, Mayor, but I'd like to have it so we can.
Yeah, I think it's at the bottom. It says page 461 of 1153. I believe that one.
Can you see it there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you want to see a specific page?
I want to see the building fees, just the fee table you have.
Oh, that's on page. That's on the next page, 462. 461 and 462. I guess when it starts.
Let me know if you would, please, Mayor Pro Tem, when I get down to the page you're asking for. The building permit fee page, is that the one?
Yeah.
What about the next one, Larry? Is there another one after that? That one, I think.
Yeah. Can't see it. Anyway, I am concerned that, and I realize that, you know, we've received and have gone over this 3 times now, and I understand that. But I know there was some. It feels like some conflict, you know, with our both parties in terms of the home builders doing a presentation. I think it's important that we hear from them. I know that they have a PowerPoint presentation, is my understanding, from an email that Ms. Black sent to me, and have asked us to, or me to table, or you know, at least request to table this until they can do a presentation, so we understand from their perspective, you know, what areas they're concerned with. I think it just gives us a real well-rounded, just a well-rounded understanding, and so I just want to say that, and then I also feel strongly again, and thank you, Councilor Vasquez, for your questions, very thoughtful, just really trying to incentivize, right, our infill, bringing, you know, some, I think, the challenges that we are facing there on the El Paseo corridor, and just with these vacant buildings and such, and specifically also, you know, kind of in the downtown, basically in the downtown area as well. And people basically are struggling with, you know, there's vacant buildings. There's a lot of work that needs to happen in these vacant buildings to get things up and running. And so I really would like for us to research thoroughly and have you know, some ideas brought forth, not only from staff, but having this. And Councilor Stork, I appreciate you. I think we, maybe from the Economic Development PRC, that we look at the, you know, the particular code and review and start to look at ways by which to incentivize infill all the more. Now, with that said, I think also I began to be concerned with impact fees related to like the utilities and stuff like that. Sure, the infrastructure is already there, but there's still huge fees that are associated with that, even when you're like renovating a commercial building and such. And I want to know more about that, because I think that plays a huge and a very significant part of why people can't afford to do that. Because and I'm thinking about something that came to us specifically a couple of years ago in my district, upgrading the utilities at a mobile home park. And just all the things that were related to that. And it was very pricey. And I have to appreciate the utilities and David Dollahan. They were all very open to trying to find a way that was suitable and appropriate and cost effective for the mobile park landlord or the person who owned it. And I've appreciated that, but I think it's something that we really need to look at, because it plays a big factor, especially in these commercial buildings or renovations. So I'd like to again advocate for holding off yet again to, and for me, it's unfortunate that we didn't have specific presentation from the home builders to hear from. I know there's quite a few people concerned about the rate increase, but I think Dr. Pitts and Larry, you have been very sensitive to that and did an excellent job tying in the performance measures, the outcomes that you want to see, that you've asked to see happen, and that can't happen without some of this increase. And so I've appreciated hearing that specifically. I just felt like I needed to say that, Mayor. It was more about there was an area, and I don't remember, we went over it again. Dr. Pitts, maybe you can help me. Someone brought to your attention a particular item that you hadn't really thought more of, and I don't remember it and didn't jot it down as I re-reviewed the information. I just wanted to hear back, and I know I'm not being very helpful. There's like hundreds of fee schedule of items here, and I'm sorry that I'm not being helpful in terms of the item. Do you happen to remember, Dr. Pitts?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Gondra, yes, I do remember. That's the TIA review fee, that traffic impact analysis review fee.
There you go.
It was going to depend on how long it took us to do the review, and the developers like, and rightfully so, they like to have certainty of what they're going to be dealing with. And so we agree with them. We've discussed it with our traffic engineering staff, and they agree that yes, let's do that. We're in the middle, and one of the reasons I did not bring back a proposal is we're in the middle of kind of putting down being more transparent on what we're asking for from traffic analyses. That now to a developer may feel a little, it may feel like it changes from project to project. We don't feel like we're doing that, but they feel like that they are. So we want to make that a little more transparent to them of what they're being asked for. And when we do that, that's going to make having fees for the different levels be a lot clearer.
Okay, good. So this isn't the traffic impact analysis fee is not a part of this particular round of increase fees, correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Gondra, that's correct. We have taken it out. It's been struck through for this amended copy you're looking at today.
Okay, that's probably why I couldn't remember even the name, because it's not in this stuff. But okay, thank you. I'm glad that it's been taken out and you have further review. I think that'll be important. So thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for that. And if I may say this, and I say this with all due respect, I've been with the city since 2001, and throughout those years, I can just tell you that both the home builder and keep in mind, I gave the home, I think the world of them. I gave them my highest award a few years back. To me, home builders are the the lifeblood or the backbone of our city's economic engine. I mean, it touches so many different areas, from home building to plumbers, electricians, banks, insurance companies, everything. But let me just share this with you, and I know you know this, but if we continue to run a slight deficit through community development, we're going to have to make that up through one of the other various departments, whether it's the library, senior programs, parks and recreation, codes, because that's where we get our money from. So I can tell you the presentation that the home builders is going to tell you is we can't afford this. But let me just share this with you real quick before you go to Councilor Sword and Councilor Bencomo. So the biggest economic engine right now that's going on is interest rates have dropped considerably. Just to give you an example, so I had to switch it here to commercial. So let's just take a $250,000 building. A year ago, interest rates probably on a commercial building, 6.75%. And the way banks structure it, usually amortized over 20 years. So a payment on a $250,000 building at 6.75% is $1,900, $1,901. Right now, you're probably looking at a 5.75%, and I took a $1,000 increase. If the fee, earlier you heard either Dr. Pitts or Larry say the increase is probably $200 on a commercial building. I put $1,000. So I went to $251,000 at 5.75%, 20 years. The payment is $1,762, a difference of almost $140 less. That's with $1,000 in fees. So all I'm trying to tell you is just, and again, I'll do what council wants to do, but I'm just telling you, the presentation is going to tell you why they can't afford, why it shouldn't go up, which they've been telling me this for 18 years, 19 years, okay? They've never once ever said, yeah, we support this, and we need to go up, we need to raise rates. Second thing is, if they told you that impact fees hurt renovation, that's not correct. You want to renovate a building, you maybe upgrade certain things. Now, the worst thing that you might do is if you have to increase your water meter, Dr. Garcia's team might charge you a little bit higher amount because that's just the way it is. He charges us when we build City Hall. I still remember that, $162,000 for our water meter, and that's how he runs his business. I don't know if Dr. Garcia is still on. I know he's getting ready to retire, but still, that's how he runs his business, and that's how it goes, But so what I'm trying to say is it doesn't hurt renovation, now new business, and that's why I did this little example here. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out. If we don't take it here and we have to keep increasing monies to community development, we're taking it away from these other programs.
I appreciate that, Mayor, and I understand completely. I just think it's fair for all parties to have all the information in front of them rather than have it as piecemeal, in my mind, as it's come to us. I just want to be fair and equitable for everybody, and that's all. Thank you.
Councilor Sorg and then Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate your concerns there. I just have one little question, but I have to clear something up with Councilor Vasquez. Yes, there is a Mesa Drive in the city, and it could be classified as infill too, but it's not within the infill area. It's out on the East Mesa in one of the old county areas that is poorly developed. The impact fees, Dr. Pitts or Mr. Nichols, either one of you can answer this. This what we're going to do, or we're going to try to do right now, that doesn't increase any of the impact fees, does it? Dr. Pitts?
Yes, I'll answer that. Mr. Mayor, Councilor Sorg, you're correct. That does not affect the impact fees. Impact fees are adopted in a different ordinance and will not be affected.
Yes, I just wanted that to be clear because those are big. Those are large amounts of money as a rule. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Dr. Pitts and Mr. Nichols for this presentation here today.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Pitts and Larry for that presentation and for coming back of their time with us on this, holding on and being patient. I have two sort of small questions, just one for clarification. Can you walk me through, I appreciate what some of the conversation we've been having around the infill fees and for folks being able to apply for reimbursement. as a case for an incentive. Can you walk me through though what would happen, or I guess, so if someone is remodeling or building an infill area, and they sort of pay for all these things, but they don't finish, let's say, the project, what happens then? And is this sort of a way to say, well, you know, our sort of inspectors are going to do all this work, right? And then if you finish, then it's when you can get reimbursed. Is it sort of to say, well, you know, the city put in all this work, right? Does what I'm saying make sense, Dr. Pitts? It might not.
And Mayor and Councilor Bencoma, this is Larry Nichols, Community Development. You know, the incentives are definitely for the developers and the people that want to improve a project, but there needs to be a little bit of incentive for the city. And that is when somebody wants to take on a project of this nature, and we say we'd like to avail ourselves of these benefits and these incentives, we say, and we want that particular property improved, either underutilized or vacant. We'd like to see it happen, you know, and so that's why we were saying what we've said there about the incentives when the certificate of occupancy is issuable, then we will reimburse those. If that project is being developed and all of a sudden for an unknown reason, but it stalls and it never happens, we really haven't gained what we had hoped to have for the improvement of that infill. So that's why we have structured that particular phrase in the modification.
Thanks, Larry. That makes sense. Curious, do we have like an inventory of empty buildings, underutilized buildings in the infill zone?
Mayor and Councilor Bencomo, Larry Nichols, Community Development. We did a survey, I think, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and we brought a work session to City Council talking about infill. And the idea of that survey was to see if we were our objective was to have 3% or less of those types of conditions in the infill district. And we were very close to that. I don't think that it has changed very much. I think it's still very close to that. I don't have, on the top of my head, I don't have a specific number, total of buildings in the infill district versus how many vacant lots or unoccupied structures, but it's very close to a 3% level.
I'll work with Mr. Maestas on this, but I would love to know what that looks like in District 4 particularly, for sure. And then my last question, Larry, I know that the first go around on this, which at this point, not even sure when it was, but I remember you saying that you had presented to the plan to the home builders, or perhaps it was another association. Am I correct in that, or no? Was it something else?
Mayor and Councilor Bencomo, Larry Nichols, Community Development. No, that is correct. When we first started discussing the idea of increasing the fees, we divided it into what we would call 3 phases. The first phase was to address the residential properties, and we brought that to council last year. That fee increase went from, I think it was a 6 cents per square foot increase. I think it went from 14 cents to 20 cents per square foot. In other words, from $280 for a fee to $400 for a family residential property. That was phase 1. This is phase 2. This is the commercial and trade fee increase. Phase 3 will be the development codes, your subdivision codes, your zoning codes, and those fees. We'll be working on that. Once this is approved, then we'll begin to work on phase 3. But during that time, through all those phases, we have visited with the Las Cruces Home Builders Association. We have brought this to them and their Government Affairs Committee meeting. There is a liaison that the city has with the home builders. He's our concierge, Mr. Bastillos. We have him take word to them for their board of director meetings. We met with the Association of General Contractors, which is commercial builders primarily, design professionals, engineers, architects, even interior remodelers. And then we put the word out to the Chamber of Commerce. The other item that we have done is we had a public, narrative on the website that was put out recently discussing all of these items. And it was brought up a number of times. It wasn't just one time. Over the last year and a half, we probably have discussed this with the various agencies several different times.
Okay, great, Larry. Yeah, I just wanted
I did say that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to sort of bring that back because I remember you had said something like that, and I want to make sure that, we recognize that there's been a pretty steady flow of communication, right, between a lot of different stakeholders. And I know that COVID-19 has really, obviously, you don't have to say this, right, thrown everything into a loop, and we can't pause everything, right? We can't just pause city government. So I think I'm personally ready to move on with the vote today because I think the Community Development Department has definitely done their due diligence with stakeholders and with us as well. Thanks, Mayor.
And Mayor and Councilor Bencomo, I appreciate your saying that because the Community Development Department through the COVID pandemic, we were declared early on as an essential facility. And we have been addressing the issuance of permits, performing our inspections, keeping the commerce going. We have to get back to a semblance of a working society. And I think enabling us to have through these fee increases, we can keep our technology and our staff at a level that we can provide that service that the council is wanting your constituents to have. And I might mention just while I'm on the air, so to speak, if we were, hopefully you'll be ready to take a vote today. The schedule for the home builders for their presentation is the workshop next Monday. If we were not to vote today, if we were to table this today, that would mean that our next opportunity to visit this for a vote, I believe, would be September the 8th. So we're going to be pushing things back another month, which is doable. But it would also impact our implementation of the building fee table and the schedule of fees to maybe into the first part of next year in order to do that. So I think that's something for you to consider as you're evaluating what action to take on this resolution. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Larry. And before I haven't forgotten you, Mr. Thurston. I know you have your hand up. Let me get with one more council member. But just one other side note for my colleagues to think about. Even though if we move forward with this and we give it a small increase, earlier we had a discussion in a work session about creating wealth. For those who own their own building, their own commercial building, it actually helps them too. And let me tell you how. It's because now their building becomes a little bit more valuable, has a little bit more equity in it because it costs more to build a new building, which it should. I've always believed that. It shouldn't be constantly being cheap just to build a new building. So, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve.
Thank you. And thank you, Larry and Dr. Pitts. I do have a follow-up question from Councilor Bencomo's. During your discussions with these other agencies and groups, was the feedback, obviously I know that there's some opposition, was there any sort of compromise type dialogue during that, or was it kind of a blanket yes and no type of conversation with this?
Councilor, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, I'm sorry. We've had extensive conversations with the home builders and And Larry and I are both extremely supportive of the construction industry and want to see it succeed. So we're not trying to put together something that doesn't work for them. And I think they know that. I think they know we're looking at doing what we're doing the most efficient and most effective way that protects the public. And I think we're all in agreement that the home builders are in the same. They have the same end goal as we have, and that is to have happy and safe customers that can move into their home and love it and live there for maybe for generations. So I think that's been the conversation we've been having is and I think it's kind of stems a lot around resources that I think what we've been trying to say to them is if we don't have fee increases, we are just stretching our resources further and further, and it makes it harder for us to get a C of O issued. It makes it harder for us to get our inspector out on the ground to your site. And I think I think what they would tell you, and maybe Kent or Nicole or somebody has something to say, is they aren't as much opposed to the fee increase as much as they want to make sure that it leads to better resources to support their industry. And I'm in 100%. That's why I'm pushing so hard for this, is because I think that's what we need to do. We need to keep these guys. I mean, I feel very much for these construction workers who many times they get paid on Friday, and that's it. That money's spent, and we got to keep these people employed. This is the heart and soul of our city. These guys have to keep working, so we have to make it so that they can keep working. And when we hold up a permit because we can't get an inspector out to a site and they can't work, they don't get paid. And so to me, that's part of what we're trying to accomplish. And I think we're trying to accomplish in conjunction with the home builders, not in opposition to the home builders. So I think that's what, and I think you should ask them, because I think I'd be interested in knowing what they'll say. But that's my impression of what is at issue here.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. And, I'm an advocate for that accountability and transparency. So moving forward, making sure that we're just keeping very accurate data on how we've been able to utilize these fees and what we've been able to really upgrade our customer service for them. So thank you. And thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Thurston, finally, thank you for your patience. I just need you to identify yourself, please.
All right, I'm Kent Thurston. What else? Do I have to give an address like you normally do?
No. Are you representing a particular industry or firm or organization?
Representing the Las Cruces Home Builders Association.
Okay.
And also then, so a couple of things that kind of went back that I've written a couple notes here on a fee increase. There was last year there was a residential fee increase, which was stated that we always oppose the residential fee increase. We that year did not oppose any residential fee increase. We had a discussion with Larry, and he says, okay, we need some more money to make sure that we can give you better service. And so last year, you didn't even hear from the Home Builders Association when we did have a residential fee increase, because we understand that there is money needed to hire the individuals. So we stayed silent in that one. But as a year ago now, the results, I want you guys to understand the results of that increase. We still today do not receive the service that should be given in our industry. So I can give you an exact address, 3917 Pacific Loop. It's one of the homes that we build, that KT Homes builds. And we had 6 days late still on a electrical inspection. So we, about a year ago, had a meeting, me, and a bunch of the other business owners that are home builders in Las Cruces. We met with city staff, city staff and also city management. And we wanted to come to a conclusion and to say, how do we receive the benefits from the city? How do we, if we're paying these fees, how do we actually get the service that we pay? And I know Larry has a chart out there that he uses of what customer service looks like, and one of them has resources in it, I believe. Well, our issue that we were saying is that we're not paying this. The city is not paying enough for inspectors to inspect, to actually hire an inspector for our sector, which is causing all of these delays. So we went out. I found a couple of individuals. I gave it to them and said, "This is the pay that they're getting. The private side is getting paid, and there's a reason why they're not getting hired in, because we're not meeting that." So in that meeting, they said there's something that you guys call an equity issue. Well, in that same meeting, I believe it was David, is it Dollahan, who's the manager, the assistant manager?
Yes.
He ended up saying that there was enough money for it and that we could move things forward, if I remember that conversation correctly, and that we were just having a tough time finding qualified individuals. But in that same time, we were saying, you know, if you're offering $40,000 for an inspector, they were asking for 60. So what I'm just trying to say is the banter has gone back and forth through ours, and it's not necessarily a raising of fees issue. It is more of we are getting nothing back other than just having to pay more fees. So we get the pay increase to the city, but I get nothing back in return. So that's one of the real big issues with us, is that even though we go back and forth, we still don't get a better service. If we come down to that, there's two of the feeds that kind of are said that aren't going to affect residential, but it is whenever a trade fee is going to go up, the plumber, the HVAC guy, the electrician, all of when their fees goes up, well, so does the cost of the home. And I have an issue also with a technology fee. In my own business, when we implement new technology, it is normally to cause us to be better, more efficient, and it's to save us money and not to cost us more money. So I would think that a technology fee in the city would probably do the same thing. When you implement Excella, it should be to save money and time for the city and not to incur more cost to the city. At least that's what I've seen in technology. Whenever we implement new technology in our business, it saves us money and it saves us time. So you guys have touched a little bit on what we're going to be presenting. So our presentation is not to necessarily combat anything. It is to inform new city councilors, kind of our industry, and explain what we do as an industry, how the flow goes, what's the process, why we do what we do, and just to kind of explain where the money comes from and what the home building industry, construction industry actually pays back to the city. So when we sit here and talk about fees, and I know we talked specifically just about the community development, that it's getting supplemented by the general fund, and saying that, well, the community development needs to be sold and separate by itself. However, the building industry generates so much money for that general fund that we do that community development may tap into those funds, but we're also producing more and more funds every year for the city as new property taxes comes in. When we go and build 600 new homes, you're also receiving property tax now on those 600 extra new homes. So the funds do come in. If you guys want to move forward and vote, you guys can vote. What we are really wanting in our next presentation is to just show you guys really where we think we're benefiting the city, and that you don't necessarily need more money, but that by by what we're doing is generating you more money every single year by more properties that we're building on, generates more taxes for you and property tax that then in turn can go into that general fund, and that general fund, the community development, does tap into it. But we also feed that general fund. So that's kind of ours, and I'm going to leave it at that if you have any questions.
Well, I appreciate that, Kent. And if I may just kind of clarify a couple things. First off, as you heard me mention, the home builders are really the backbone of not only our economy, but the nation's economy. You know, you touch so many different branches out to so many different things, but and I appreciate all the homes you're building. But I will tell you that the city receives about 17 cents on the dollar on property taxes. The brunt of that goes to the schools, which gets almost 40%, and then Doña Ana County, which gets a little bit over 36%. So although it's good, the percent that we get from property tax is really small in how we collect our monies for the general fund. The second thing is I appreciate you talking specifically about electrical inspections. You're probably not seeing a problem now, but earlier in the last year, we were having so much difficulty with electrical inspectors because our friends on the east part of the state, which I think isn't your dad's building quite a bit in Artesia or Lovington. I don't know. I heard he was building quite a few homes over there, and they were taking, not your dad, but they were taking almost all electricians throughout all of New Mexico or on the east part of the state because of the oil. I mean, you had roughnecks making $100,000 a year. You had clerks at McDonald's $15 to $17 an hour. That it was so hard to compete just getting any type of workers. So I think you're seeing it now because, of course, oil dropping, and now you have a chance to hire these people that we were lacking. And I want to credit Larry because he did. Yes, they did have the money. The city did have the money, but we didn't have the people. I think Larry has not only some electricians that he's got on site, he's looking to double that, both from electrical and plumbing standpoint, so they can do 2-for-1 inspection. But I just wanted to point those two things out to you, and I think he has a comment. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and Kent. I was taking, like you do, I was taking notes on your comments that you were making, and we do meet regularly with you, and something that Dr. Pitts mentioned just a moment ago, and that is he and I both really have the home builders' interest in mind. We, every time we think about a program improvement, it's to that level. You said that I had a little formula or something that I use regularly, and you're right, I do. And it goes like this: I say the workload plus the resources available will equal your customer service level. If the workload goes up dramatically, but your resources stay the same, the resources in terms of staff, technology, or equipment, your customer service level is going to suffer. And that's kind of what we experienced earlier on this year, the last of last year, when, as the mayor mentioned, we had this difficulty with the electrical inspectors. We've rectified that. You mentioned a little bit about the residential fees going up, but you didn't feel like you received any service for that. But I think recently we've been doing with our technology, and that was part of why we're asking for a more technology fee. But with the interactive video inspection, that has been a tremendous help to the home builders. I'm getting full support on that. But those are the types of programs we're developing combination inspectors. Then that's what we want to do with part of our fee increases, to have more of those so that one inspector can do two types of inspections without having to schedule a second or third other inspector. So these are the things, Kent, that we're working on to bring to the home builders and the commercial builders. We know they're program improvements. We know they're going to help keep that workload which we are experiencing an increase of workload. You know from the information and reports I give you and the home builders every month, we're up 22% over the last 2 years. We're doing that with the same staff that we've had for the last 10 or 12 years. So, we get our resources up to the level of our workload. I think our customer service level will be something that will be very appreciated by you. I appreciate the points you brought. We're going to continue to work on those as we have been. And I'll be very anxious to see your presentation at the work session next week, because I certainly will benefit from that and take them to heart and do everything Tim and I and our building department can do to support your efforts out there.
Thanks for that, Larry. And I don't know if Councilor Abeyta-Stuve and Bencomo are aware of what the Acela program is. Basically, it's a software that the city spent over $600,000 to help with community development. Basically, the old way you would, if a developer, if a contractor or home builder came in, they'd have to bring in these sets of plans, and those are expensive to produce. Now they can bring in a jump drive, goes into the city. The plans are there. It can go to all the departments before they have to take those plans and physically move them to different departments to get them signed off. Now they can be sent through email. And then a lot of times the city was unfairly being tagged that, hey, you guys are taking forever, when really it's the subcontractor or one of the, the architect is telling the owner, hey, the city's taking too long. Well, it turns out, a lot of that is stopping. And I think a lot of credit goes to community development because they've been able to use this and really get this thing going. And I think that's why they're able to do so much more with production and no little staff increases or increases in your budget. So congratulations to you on that, Larry. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything further. Now, I understood something about an amendment. Was there an amendment that needed to be done, Christine?
Yeah, we need to amend to switch out the exhibit from the original time to now.
And what do we call that? Just
Replacement of Exhibit A.
Okay. That's pretty original. Replacement of Exhibit A.
Just thinking off the top of my head.
Okay, well, is there someone that wants to make a motion and a second for an amendment to this resolution to replace the old exhibit with the current Exhibit A?
I'll motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Councilor Sorek, second by Councilor Vasquez. Any questions on the amendment? Okay, if not, Christine, on the amendment, please.
This is on the motion to amend Resolution 21-019 to replace Exhibit A. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorek?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, now we're on the main motion. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 21-019 as amended. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorek?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, so that takes care of old business. Now let's go to resolutions and ordinances for discussion. Item number 9.1 is a public hearing. Public hearing is now on. It's 2:40 p.m. I don't believe we received any emails, but this public hearing is for approving the transfer of location of dispenser liquor license number 0072 with package sales only for Pickwick Stores Inc., doing business as Pickwick Store number 6. at 1600 North Solano Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88001. I don't think there is a Pickwick at 1600 North. I guess he's building a new one, huh? Is that what he's doing? Okay, because I'm trying to think. I don't remember Pickwick on North Solano. Okay. Well, I'll ask if anyone here, other than council members, wants to speak either for or against this transfer of location. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. We have not received any emails either for or against. It's 2:41 p.m. and the public hearing is closed. So with that, I entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 221-033. Need a motion second, please. No motion or second to adopt this resolution. Okay. Then we'll probably just go through the state. Right. That makes 2 in 19 years that City Council has not approved a liquor transfer. Item number 2, resolution 21-034. Need a motion, a second, please.
Move to approve.
Second, Gandara.
Motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. And it looks like City Attorney Jennifer Vega Brown will be discussing. Jennifer.
Good morning, Council. I am going to share my screen.
It's 2:45 in the afternoon, Jennifer. Just thought I'd let you know. I know you've been working around the clock.
I was on quarantine for 14 days, so this is my first day back in the office. All right. We're here to talk about approving the contract for Mr. Ifo Pilo for city manager. This is just a very brief background regarding the contract. Mr. Pili has 14 years experience with municipal administration. He is currently the city administrator for Eagle Mountain City, Utah, and he has been since 2012. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Political Science from BYU and also an MPA from BYU. The proposed contract is for an indefinite period, and I can explain that to you in a moment. The base salary is $216,000 per year with benefits. There is a residency requirement. He has to live within the city limits. There is a stipend for his moving expenses, and he will be provided a vehicle allowance. The indefinite period is still contingent upon the city council. So the city council by charter can remove and place the city manager at any time. So it's an indefinite period based on the will of the city council. And these are your options. Please ask any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Jennifer. Let me just kind of start off with something for members of the public that are watching on YouTube or cable channel 20. I know you're thinking, gosh, that's a lot. And yes, it is. It's a lot of responsibility. He becomes probably the highest paid city manager in city's history. But let me tell you one thing about Mr. Pili. So when he was offered the position, I've never seen this before. Most people, when they take a position, they take it for not only advancement professionally, but also monetarily. All he asked is that he be placed in the same position he was leaving. And I thought, really? You just want to make what you're leaving? You don't, he has had a chance to, of course, learn about our community, and he basically feels he's fallen in love with it. Got to keep in mind, even though he was making $160,000 or something back in Utah, he was also in charge of, and this is the part that's a little foggy. I know he's in charge of something that has to do with fire, like a fire district, and they paid him $30-something thousand for that. He had a 401k, 457, which is a deferred comp plan. And they picked up 100% of his health insurance. They picked up a lot. And so basically what this amounts to was putting him in the same position he was at his current position here. So I just wanted to point that out. Earlier, you heard me talking about how this is about 18% more than what we were paying Stuart Eade. But nonetheless, Mr. Peely comes with extremely high credentials. I had a chance to talk with him earlier today, and his focus, and you'll like this, colleagues, is to reduce the poverty rate and increase the per capita income. And if he can move the needles on those two areas, he is well worth his salary. I was going to say worth his weight in gold. You do know he was a professional football player, defensive lineman. So I need to calculate how much that is in gold based on today's price per ounce. But okay, Councilor Vasquez, Abeyta-Stuve, Bencomo, Gandara.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm surprised you don't have like a ounce per gold ticker scrolling on the side of your screen there.
It's about 2,000 per ounce. Okay, so that's 32,000 a pound. I don't know how much Ifo weighs, but his football playing weight had him at 300 and something. So.
I see you got his trading card too. No, I want to also just comment on the whole process. I think this is our second time going through this process ever since Stuart Eade left, and we've had some amazing fill-ins. I think David Must has done a tremendous job in keeping a steady hand at the ship here and filling in during a really difficult time of crisis and transition, both economic but also the public health crisis that we've been undergoing. And so, I think the role of a city manager, especially through a couple of different crises that I've seen the city go through with the refugee crisis, now with COVID, is really important in being able to direct, almost like an orchestra director, all the different moving pieces that it takes to both have the city running, but to respond to the needs of our residents when we need it the most. I have learned a lot more since being in this role now for a couple of years, the role of the city manager. And, I can tell the folks that are watching out there that it's everything from taking requests to fill potholes in alleyways, to trying to close big economic development deals that, bring in hundreds of jobs and everything in between. The management of staff, personnel issues, working with the city administration staff to make sure that their respective duties are being done. It takes a lot of work, and it's a lot of after hours work. You're on the clock 24/7, especially if you're responding to something happening after hours, which is a requirement of this particular position. You have to be on call all the time. And I was, just so impressed by Mr. Peely's rapport. I think he's going to be somebody that has been accessible to members of our community in a way that I maybe haven't seen before during my time interacting with local government. And so I'm super excited for that. Regardless, I still had sticker shock to see, even when I came in and saw what our former city manager was getting paid, for those of us who have worked in nonprofit world or moving up in our careers, it just, to me, it looks crazy. But, this is the market for these types of professional administrators across the country. And if we want the very best for the city, then we have to attract the very best. And so when we did raise that salary allowment as part of our call for new applicants, we did get some different applicants, and we got some really high caliber applicants. And in fact, it was a pretty hard decision coming near the end there, because we had some really good folks that were interested in coming to our city. They come at a cost. They come at a price that's dictated by the market within the city administration world. And so that was kind of a hard pill to swallow for me, right? Having again, experienced a different type of salary range my whole life. But regardless, I have a confidence that Mr. Peely will do great things for our city, the way that he looks at our community, and even something that he said about putting his hands into the Rio Grande the first time that he came here showed the kind of heart and spirit that I know he's going to bring into the dedication of this monumental job. It's really the most important job in the city, and so I look forward to working with him. And it's certainly a big number, but we expect him to do big things, and so I'll be making sure that I'm part of that change as well with Mr. Peely. Thank you, Mayor.
Hey, I like that quote. Maybe Michael put that in the paper. Your big number, big things. That's good. I like it. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. I'm excited to see what we can do together with Mr. Peely. Really, as we're going through this process, and even as a new counselor, and I'm sure Councilor Bencoma also was asked many of times about the role of the city manager job. And pre-COVID, for me, this was going to be the biggest decision I made this year, and it still possibly is. And so I wanted to be very thoughtful about this process, and I wanted to hold this standard and quality for the very best of Las Cruces, because we are going to face a very difficult time for the next few years, and we need to make sure that we have somebody at the helm that is able to help us through this and also bring us to the next level and help make Las Cruces the very best it can be. Mr. Peely certainly has a heart for service, and that was very apparent in our conversations, and a strong moral compass, and something I wish with those at his center, I think we can make very good decisions together. And I think he's going to be a very strong leader for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bencoma.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you to both my colleagues for those wonderful words. I definitely agree with all of that. I also wanted to jump in, though, and just say a couple words. In March, when we went through this first round, as a newly elected counselor, I was terrified. This is, such an important job in the city machine, and it's a really big deal. And so I was very, very nervous, and it was really disheartening to go through that process and just feel like at the end of it, it just wasn't meant to be back then. And now, as we head into, as we headed into the second go around, I was nervous that we were going to end up in the same situation. But instead, it was totally the opposite. We had a good problem, which was we had incredibly good, passionate candidates that felt like they were very aligned with the mission and values of the city, certainly with my own values. And so we had a good problem in front of us. I very much trust that Mr. Peely is someone that's going to come in, be a sponge, soak it all in. I'm excited that he's someone who's deeply relational and wants to get to know people first and foremost. And so much like Councilor Vasquez, early on, when we were just talking about the salary range, I was like, what? That's a crazy high number, right? I agree with him completely. It absolutely is. I think if you ask Mr. Peely, he'd probably tell you the same thing, to be honest with you. And I know that for members of the public, for constituents, I know that it's frustrating to not have had at this point, the same access to Mr. Peely that we've had as city councilors through the interview process. So I know that you haven't gotten to know him as much as we have, and I'm excited for folks to get to know him. I think, I really hope that when Mr. Peely comes in, folks are welcoming and folks are open to building that relationship with him, and much like you hold all of us accountable, him as well, right, to how we make our communities better. So I'm excited. I feel like I say this probably at every council meeting, but reducing that 24% poverty rate is absolutely and should be our top priority. So having someone coming in who's not from here saying the same thing, I think is pretty significant. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for Mr. Peely to get here.
Thanks, Councilor. You know, one thing I didn't mention, he flat out asked me, he says, how come we didn't get that Facebook? And how come it went to Los Lunas? I said, I have no idea. He says, well, I'd like to find out. I go, good, because, you know, he was able to bring Facebook to his community. I have some distribution center. So, I mean, he's economic development, I think, is tattooed on him. So he's looking to know that that's how you raise wealth in a community, is you bring good jobs, good paying jobs that minimum wage won't even be thought of. It's just like, hey, minimum wage, what is that? These guys are making $17, $18, $19 an hour. Mayor Pro Tem Candela.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you to the rest of my colleagues. I couldn't have said it any better. The only addition is that I think I felt a lot of pressure to pick the right one. I think all of us went in there with priorities, and for me, frankly, and we've heard it a little bit today, is this idea of equity, the importance of equity. I want to remind folks that we're the second largest county in the state. And when you look at places like Albuquerque, when their chief operating officer is making $165,500, I think we need to start looking at us in a very different way. And I know that many of us have talked about pay equity, the importance of pay equity. And that goes for, you know, one of the things I'd like to talk to Mr. Feedley about is ensuring that that we have equity in terms of pay, and that we look at gender equality, right? That women are in many of our leadership roles, and so I agree with my colleagues as it related to seeing and negotiating that amount was hard, but well worth it. And I was sold as well, because a priority has to be that we reduce poverty. And when he knew our poverty rate, he talked about what he was able to do within a decade in raising people's minimum income. And as you call it, Mayor, individual wealth, that is so important, I think, to me and to the rest of council. And so I think we've been very transparent. We've been very clear that we raised that pay rate the second time around, and we got some incredible candidates. And I'm just thrilled to move in this direction. There is so much that needs to be done in terms of reimagining police and economic development, and Mr. Feely's ability to be able to bring big corporations into his small community, although much smaller than ours. I think we all have incredible high hopes for moving forward. And I am very big on holding people accountable, and I will continue to do that as he gets himself, immerses himself into our community. And I'm appreciating people, our constituency, commenting on their concern as it relates to the salary. But I love this community, and we deserve as the citizens of this community, you know, those kind of high qualified folks. And so I'm appreciative and excited. So thanks, Mayor.
Sure. You know, one thing I have to tell you, and like I said, I talked with Infill earlier today, and I often wondered, how did he get so good in economic development? You know, turns out his father, when he worked for the government, that's what he did. So he grew up, eat, sleep, and breathe economic development. That's how he knew it, put these deals together. So besides playing football. Okay, so Councilor Sword.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just like to add my agreement with the other councilors that have spoken, and you, Mayor, too, also. I agree with all that's been said here. I had the same feelings that they have expressed. I really appreciate our two newest city councilors and their feelings especially. And also I want to emphasize the fact that in the 11 years I've been in the council, I've always been a little uncomfortable with the salary we're paying a city manager, going back to the very first one, which was what, four managers ago or so, Mayor? But that's the way things are now. I thought that because of the salary range we advertised, we did get some very good qualified. I might have been just as happy maybe with a couple of other of the candidates that were on the list that we interviewed. But there was one thing that stood out with Mr. Bealey, and that is that he explained how he was appointed by the Utah governor for the Judicial Appointment Board, and the board that appoints judges to the state courts. And which is, that's nothing to sneeze about. And so he had to ask the governor, he says, well, you just appointed me for some racial diversity here, didn't you? And the governor immediately came back and said, oh, no, I appointed you because of your integrity. Well, that was one of the main things that's on Mr. Feely. So, yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm anxious to get to work with him. I expect great things, like Councilor Vasquez says, and let's go forth, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, good. And as Ms. mentioned, oh, yes, Councilor Bencomo.
Sorry, Mayor. I just wanted to also just note that how incredibly grateful I've been for Mr. Maestas. I'm sure we will have a great handout for him when he's no longer interim. But I don't know. Mr. Maestas has been incredible, and certainly in this transition and supporting me as a new counselor. And so I just wanted to give him a shout out as we're having this conversation.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate all he's done, and because I don't think EFO starts until first week or so of September, so we'll still have David around there, and then a few weeks after that, he's going to be helping transition EFO. So that's good. Okay, well, good. Just want to, with that, also mention, of course, Councilor Flores, who, I think she really adores EFO. She's out of the country. So she's not where she's at. I guess it's probably nighttime, probably 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. So, or she'd be saying her comments. Okay, with that, Christine, if you call for the vote, please. This is to approve the contract.
This is on the motion to approve resolution 21-034. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes, wrong button.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, well, congratulations, EFO. I don't know if you guys were aware that he was actually, he should be on the meeting here. And, if you guys didn't scroll and catch his name.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, so EFO, if you're there and you'd like to say a couple words, just want to congratulate you on being our new city manager. You're muted, by the way. And have you ever added your weight in gold to see what?
I'd be the richest man in the world, Mayor, if I did and received that. But thank you so much. Thank you for your vote of confidence in me, councilors. I really am very, very excited to be a part of the Las Cruces team and family, if I may. I felt from the very beginning when I came to the city that all those things that were on my list as well, I've checked off. Like I mentioned, I've fallen in love with not only the city, but all the people that I've been able to interact with. as councilors, mayor and council, I can feel your love for your city. And I think that kind of sealed the deal for me. Throughout the interview process, I'm kind of interviewing myself. I'm watching myself. And I just loved how you love your city and how you care so much for your people, your constituents. And I think that's the only way to lead, is to lead with your heart. And so I'm excited. I appreciate the staff too. I think I'm coming to an all-star team already. I joked around with David earlier. I said, do you even need a city manager? I mean, you guys have been kicking butt all this time. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this team, this family. And like I said in the interview, I'll give you my heart and soul when I come. I'm excited. My family's excited. And so thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Ifo. So I've got a real important question to ask you. Can you eat sushi and enchiladas at the same time?
I sure can.
Oh,
I don't think I have, but I know I can. I like both.
All right. Just want to make sure. Sometimes that comes in handy. Well, you're welcome to stay on the rest of the meeting and and see how things are going. But nonetheless, we appreciate it. And I learned something in Zoom. So instead of clapping, they just go like that, like to congratulate you. So congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, that takes care of that. So we're going to go to item 9.3, resolution 21-035. Need a motion, a second.
So moved, Bencomo.
Second, Abeyta-Stuve.
I'm sorry, second by who?
Abeyta-Stuve.
Okay. Motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, and Matt Sines will be discussing.
Hello, Mayor. Let me just share my screen for y'all. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the Council, Administration. For the record, my name is Matthew Sines, Senior Budget Analyst with the Budget Office, and I'm here today to present the proposed budget adjustments for fiscal year 2021. Oops. Let's see. And I can't. Excuse me for a second. I'm gonna have to reshare my screen. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, so with these budget adjustments, there are no new programs or policy initiatives. The adjustments are focused on compliance and alignment. We are continuing our carryover adjustments from fiscal year 2020, and these are items that departments have identified to continue into the new fiscal year. We do have an increase in general fund expenditures in the amount of $362,000. Once we had a chance to review the amendments, I'm going to turn it over to Interim Public Works Director, Mr. David Cedillo, who will discuss the capital improvement program amendments. Overall, what we're trying to accomplish today is to apply best practice. Now, before I get started, I just want to point out that the amounts we are requesting today are located in the column with yellow text. Also, the transaction is indicated with E for expense, R for revenue, and T for transfer. We do have a legend at the bottom, just as a friendly reminder and for your convenience. So let's go ahead and get started. So from the general fund, the city managers is requesting a carryover for OpenGov software and for peak performance surveys in the amount of $178,000. We're also reducing COVID utilities assistance to actuals by $70,000. The net amount, our total request is $100,000 from the general fund. Economic development is requesting a carryover of $101,000 for COVID expenses and to budget for the SAFE campaign, which promotes safe business practices for the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Information technology is requesting a carryover of $45,000 for the Klein Park Wi-Fi project. Unfortunately, they were unable to complete this project in FY20 due to COVID-19. Parks and Recreation is requesting a carryover of $87,000 for the rec track, Women's Veterans Monument lighting repairs, and smart controllers. Police is requesting a carryover of $25,000 for tracks, which is a traffic and crime software, gym equipment, and for weapons. Continuing with the general fund, Quality of Life is requesting a carryover of $1,674 for long-term care rolling stock. Fund 1030, Economic Development, is reducing expenditures of $99,000, and this is to adjust Renovate Main Street, the West Mesa Industrial Park improvements, and for Virgin Galactic. Fund 1500, City Manager's Office, is transferring $80,000 to Fund 4005. With this, we are reversing and correcting the transfer with the right sign, and this is for the Council High Definition Lighting Project. One day we'll get back there. Fund 1500, Economic Development, is requesting a carryover of $137,000 for airport projects. Fund 2013, Community Development, is requesting a carryover of COVID assistance by $55,000. However, they are also reducing the Mesilla Valley Desert Hope to actuals by $77,000. So our net effect on this fund is a decrease of $22,000. Fund 2100, Economic Development, is carrying over $1.1 million for the EDA grants and for LEADA projects for 420 South Valley, Big Tuna, and Relief. Fire is requesting a carryover of $51,000, and this is for the Assistance for Firefighters grant. Parks and Recreation is requesting a carryover of $127,000 for the Youth Conservation Corps program. Quality of Life is requesting an adjustment of $111,000, and this is to adjust several grants, such as the FY16 General Obligation Bond, FY18 General Obligation Bond, the Luce Grant, GSK Grant, National Endowments of Arts, Meals on Wheels, and the Stoker Foundation. Fund 2171, Quality of Life, is reducing revenues by $471,000, also reducing expenditures by $479,000. And this is to adjust the senior programs and Family First Coronavirus Response Act and the CARE grants to actuals. Fund 2300, Fire, would like to carry over $545,000 in FY20 funds. They also received an additional amount of $46,000 for a total request of $591,000. Fund 2401, Police, is reducing revenues and expenditures of $600, and this is to adjust the Police Protection Fund to actuals. Fund 2470, Police, they're requesting a carryover of $16,000 for Accurint, which is crime software. Fund 2490, Municipal Court, is requesting to budget $34,000 for the FY20 judicial educational charges. Fund 2700, Economic Development, would like to carry over $1.3 million, and this is for the Horse and Hound purchase. The transaction has already occurred. However, we do need to budget this amount for FY21. Fund 2700, Fire, is requesting to carry over $90,000 for barricades to parks. This was part of the COVID-19 closures. Fund 2710, Economic Development, is adjusting their EDA grants to actuals by $200,000. Fund 4005, Economic Development, is adjusting their cinematic infrastructure to actuals by $88,000. Fund 4005, Quality of Life, is reducing expenditures of $22,000, and this is for the Public Arts funds, and this is an adjustment to actuals. Fund 4030, Public Works, is carrying over the 2019-2020 pavement replacement projects in the amount of $47,000. Fund 4100, we are carrying over multiple projects. These projects include a parking garage, Parks and Rec playground equipment, Pioneer Park improvements, New Mexico Department of Transportation I-10, I-25 interchange, park security lighting, median improvements, and smart controllers, and also for the senior programs equipment for a total amount just under $2 million. 4106, Parks and Recreation, would like to carry over $45,000 as part of the National Fitness Campaign. Fund 4202, Public Works, would like to close out their 2019 Local Government Road Fund and also additionally carry over the 2019-2020 pavement replacement for a total of $276,000. Fund Fund 4228, Economic Development, is adjusting their Rio Grande Theater improvements and aligning their destination downtown program to actuals by $15,000. Fund 4270, Economic Development, would like to reduce expenditures by $10,000, and this is an adjustment to the TID parking lot number 7. 4400, Public Works, would like to carry over $419,000 for their 2019 and 20 pavement replacement. Fund 4505, Economic Development, would like to reduce expenditures to adjust the downtown improvements and airport projects to actuals. Fund 5010, Economic Development, they're reducing revenues by $1.3 million, also expenditures by $1.4 million, and this is to adjust airport projects to actuals. Fund 5100, Utilities Shared Services, is budgeting $4,755 for the Youth Conservation Corps program. They're also transferring $174,000 to Fund 5160, as you see below, and this is for equipment replacement. They're also additionally on 5160, they're carrying over $251,000 for rolling stock. Fund 5200, Utilities Gas, is requesting $100,000 for licensing fees and right-of-way lease. Fund 5250, Gas is budgeting $154,000 for fiber optics projects. Fund 5260, Gas is requesting to carry over $369,000 for operational needs. On 5270, Gas also reducing expenditures by $280,000, and this is to adjust the bond projects to actuals. On 5271, they're adjusting the advanced metering infrastructure projects to actuals by $51,000. Fund 5300, Water, is requesting $75,000 for updating their locating equipment. They also would like to transfer $75,000 to Fund 5350 for capital improvements. They're also requesting $154,000 for fiber optics projects. Fund 5345, Water, is requesting to adjust their bond projects to actuals by $80,000. Fund 5347, also an adjustment to actuals by $10,000, and 5349, adjustment to actuals by $46,000. On 5360, we are carrying over bond proceeds of $238,000. We're also carrying over $7,634 for rolling stock. On 5375, we're adjusting bond projects to actuals by $3,000. On 5378, Water is adjusting bond projects to actuals by decreasing expenditures of $63,000. On 5379, we're also reducing expenditures by $40,000 to adjust those projects to actuals. 5400, Wastewater is requesting a carryover of $103,000 for operational needs. They're also transferring $166,000 to Fund 5460 for equipment replacement. Additionally, on 5460, they're requesting a carryover of $403,000 for operational needs. 5446, Utilities Wastewater, adjusting bond projects to actuals by $17,000. On 5450, Utilities Wastewater would like to budget fiber optics projects in the amount of $154,000. On 5479, they're reducing expenditures by $20,000, and this is to adjust bond projects to actuals. On 5500, Solid Waste would like to carry over their FY20 projects and budget for fiber optics projects for a total of $184,000. On 5560, they would like to carry over just under $300 for rolling stock. On 5920, Quality of Life would like to adjust their transit operating grants to actuals with revenues of $264,000 and expenditures of $27,000. On 5923, Quality of Life, we're also adjusting the transit capital grants to actuals by reducing revenues of $62,000 and expenditures reduced by $101,000. Fund 6310, Human Resources, is budgeting $100,000 for unemployment and insurance claims. Finally, Fund 7480, Quality of Life, would like to adjust the museum scholarships, Muley Estate, and Museum of Natural Sciences to actuals with revenues of $199,000 and expenditures of $206,000. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Davis Cedillo, who will discuss the capital improvement program amendments.
Okay, hold on just a second, Matt. We have a couple questions for you before you give it to David. Councilor Sorg and Councilor Bencomo have a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Sines, for that presentation, for that list, lengthy list. Then one of the expenditures in the Economic Development Department was for, I think it was $88,888. Can you explain, can someone on staff explain what that expenditure was for? What was purchased with that 88,000? There, you just passed it. Adjustments, cinematic infrastructure to actuals. I need more explanation on that.
Okay, Mayor, Councilor Sorg, this is Matthew Sines. I'm going to defer the question to Dr. Martinez. She's on the line.
Yes,
No, go ahead.
Mayor, City Council, this is Cruces Martinez, Economic Development Director. Mayor's, Councilor Sorg, this funding was an adjustment to the funds that we had in the original amount. We had taken some money to make up for a different project last fiscal year, and this $88,000 is the final adjustment to keep the amount whole. So it's actually bringing money into the fund to ensure that the amount that was defined by City Council remains the same.
Okay, so in other words, that 88,000 was spent on something else? Do you remember
Yes.
what it was?
Yes, Councilor Sorg, it was an expenditure that we did not have budgeted last year for the storage facility at the convention center. And so we needed to have a funding source at that time, and now we're making this whole.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Yes.
Martin. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Matt. I just have to ask, do you dream in numbers?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Thank you for that presentation. I actually have a question about the very first item regarding the COVID utility actuals. Can somebody explain to me what that means?
So the adjustment, Mayor, Councilor Bencomo. So I don't know if you remember last time we were here for our council adjustment. So we did a carryover adjustment of 100,000, bringing in that money, anticipating that we would need that amount. However, as Delilah Walsh had mentioned in her presentation on that day, is that most of the money had been spent. So we're adjusting the numbers back down to where it should be, which is about 22,000 for FY21 procedures to process those amounts on FY21.
Okay, thank you. And then I don't know if there's someone from the police department. I'd love to know more about what Accurate is.
What is?
The crime software.
Oh.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, Interim Chief Miguel Dominguez for the record. The Accurate software is an intelligence software where we're able to track trends and different crimes. So it's actually based for resource allocation. It's an intelligence software that ties into our record management system.
Resource allocation in terms of like where you're seeing like spikes in crime, or what do you mean?
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, that's exactly correct. Where we use this we use the software to track where through trends and through actuals where crime is occurring, so we can put our resources to reduce or mitigate those incidents.
Okay, thank you, Interim Chief Dominguez. I know I'm meeting with a couple of folks in the department tomorrow. Maybe I can ask them more in terms of specifics to District 4. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. My question was the same around police, but I have an additional question on slide 3 related to Klein Park and the software. Can you talk to me more about that? What exactly is happening? I know that's part of our strategic plan is getting Wi-Fi to the downtown and Klein Park area. It's more about not probably having an update in a while.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to defer the question to the IT Director, Scott Moore.
Mayor Pro Tem, actually the Klein Park project should be wrapping up in the next week or two. They're actually starting to install equipment this week. As was mentioned previously, part of our issue was delay in equipment due to COVID. We had to special order microwave equipment to link the wireless, the Wi-Fi system into our network, and there was a long delay in being able to get that equipment.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you for that. So just clarifying that $5,251,000. Now, is that specific to the Klein Park Wi-Fi, or is that your overall budget?
That's our overall budget. The Klein Park was about, at least the missing piece was about $45,000, which was the microwave. It was the most expensive piece. Yeah.
Perfect. So just for the general public, they will be able to have access to Wi-Fi in the park while frequenting the park, correct?
That's correct. That's the goal.
And when you say you're closing that out, is that within a week, couple of weeks, a month? What does that look like? And when can we expect people to have that access?
Well, certainly I would think by the end of this month. I'm being a little conservative there because mounting equipment, we've got to make sure everything works, but we are working on it this week.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Scott, so much. I'm really excited that I think it's going to help that area immensely. Often I say this very is, there were kids over at the center outside evening hours trying to gain access to Wi-Fi and whatnot for various reasons. And I felt that, was very excited to have the rest of council's approval as we move forward and begin to look at Wi-Fi access, right, for our entire city, especially in our underserved areas. So thank you for that. Appreciate all the work. Lastly, I just had a question on fund number 1000 police, the carryover tracks, gym equipment, weapons. Can you speak to me a little more specifically on what that is?
Mayor Pro Tem, this is Matthew Sines. I'm going to defer the question to Interim Chief Dominguez.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll take each individually. The track system is traffic and criminal software. The carry-over portion for that software is the module that we use to tie in with municipal court. It'll assist us in going paperless. The gym equipment is a leg press that we had ordered last year. It was expected to come in, but due to COVID, it was delayed. So it still actually hasn't come in, and that's the portion that we had set money aside to purchase it last year, and that's what we're doing with that. And then the weapons, pretty much the same thing. They just barely came in. We had allocated the money last year for the weapons for our current academy class.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all my questions at this point.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Before we get to Councilor Vasquez, Dr. Martinez, did you have a comment you wanted to make? Or maybe forget to put your hand down. Yep, okay. Councilor Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have another question for Interim Chief Dominguez here on that same police fund. As far as the gym equipment goes, I'm not familiar with this, but does LCPD have its own gym or training facility apart from what the city staff, the rest of the city staff uses, I think, at the aquatic center, right? for free.
Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, that's correct. We have a gym facility in each one of the stations.
Okay, so they're kind of little workout rooms in each station.
Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And then I have a question, Mr. Sines. I forget what page it was on, but it was on quality of life, reduction of 22,500 for the public arts fund or project. Right there, Fund 4005, adjust funds to actuals. Why did we lose, or why are we losing 22,500 from last year for that?
Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, it may not necessarily be a loss of funds. They're just aligning the budget, so they may have budgeted more so they may have expended more in FY20 than they anticipated with their projection, but I'll defer the question to Quality of Life Director Lynn Gallagher.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Lynn Gallagher, for the record, Quality of Life Director. So the 22,500 are the monies that were anticipated to have been spent on the City Hall project, and they have not actually been spent. So we're just adjusting to actual so that we can then move forward with that this fiscal year.
So they were over budgeted. Aren't we still going to need them for this year? Wouldn't it be a carryover?
Mayor, City Council, Lynn Gallagher, again, we're moving it so that we can use it this year. So it was the down payment for the art that was going to be in the center tower at City Hall, and it wasn't expended in FY20, so we're moving it so that we can expend it in FY21.
Okay, thank you. I have a question in general for Mr. Sines. When a position goes vacant, like during the middle of the year or during the middle of the budget year, and it's not filled for a particular department, does that what happens in that occasion in terms of the budget adjustment at the end of the year, at the end of the budget year?
So Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, we do account for open position savings, and that's worked into our budget. So we do account for those fluctuations throughout the year, and that helps us. We develop our budget with those amounts in there based on what we have seen over years.
Okay, and so if a position goes unfilled during a budget year or in the middle of a budget year, that cost saving either gets spent somewhere else or does it carry over as well, or are you not allowed to carry that over and you have to spend it somewhere else?
We are not allowed to carry that over, but as I mentioned, it is part of our budget. So we look at our expenditures and what we are allowed within the fund balance on the general fund, as long as we do not exceed the 2/12 reserves on those.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Mayor.
It looks like Leanne Demouche has a comment. Leanne?
Yes, Mayor, Councilor Vasquez, I wanted to just sort of add to what Mr. Sines said. I just want to remember or remind the council as well that when we budget every year, we do budget an open salary savings. That is part of our operating budget. And I'm hoping with our new city manager that's going to be coming in to see what his direction will be. Last year, we had an open salary budget of about $6 million. We met that $6 million and maybe just a little bit over that amount. I think for fiscal year 21, we are budgeted about $5.5 million or $5 million. So a lot of the salary savings that these departments have, especially only in the general fund, they go towards that salary savings that we have budgeted, sir.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. So Leanne, just to clarify that, when you say budget savings, are you referring to positions that we have open but not filled?
Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, just want to clarify that. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a comment or did you forget to put your hand down?
Sorry, Mayor, I forgot to put my hand down.
Okay, I've got one question. Matt, can you go to fund number 6310? Unemployment insurance claims, 100,000. So we've been pretty fortunate here at the city that we haven't had to lay anyone off or anything like that. And I know from COVID that's going to be big for some employers, but can you explain what's going on with that?
Mayor, I'd like to defer the question to Joe Richards
Gotcha.
from Human Resources.
Well, you're like a quarterback. You just refer to everybody. Huh? Sorry, football's on my mind right now.
Me too.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors. Joe Richards, Human Resources. This fund had been budgeted for under risk management previously. And so this year we are transitioning it to HR. Last year, I believe it was budgeted at about 78,000. So we've increased it slightly.
I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Excuse me, because all right. I was just curious. Okay, I think that's it. I don't think there's any more questions. Oh, Councilor Vasquez, you have another question, or forget to put your hand down?
Forgot to put my hand down. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, Christine?
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there more?
I do, yes, sir. I was gonna turn it over to David Cedillo.
Oh, that's right. I was just checking to see if you were paying attention there, Matt.
Okay, thank
you were, so that's good.
David?
Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. David Cedillo, Interim Public Works Director, for the record. And by the way, Mayor, Matt did a really good job of audibling on his turn. Don't have as many slides as he does, so please bear with me.
All right.
So I'll be going over the CIP amendments. And on this first screen slide, what you'll see is we're coming back with a correction to the 2020A and 2020B bonds. Although the budget last month was correct, the projects in the CIP were flipped inadvertently. So we're coming back to basically correct those and put them back in place where they were. So with that, the energy efficiency program, or the IGA, will be reduced by $1 million. And because that was tied to the 2020A, which it should have been tied to the 2020B bond. With that, of that $1 million, that will be placed and brought back to the projects that were either eliminated or reduced as part of that. So this is to rectify that. What that'll go towards is the traffic signal at Roadrunner Parkway and Sonora Springs in the amount of $500,000. And also for the parking lot ADA improvements portions of that. 48,000, close to 49,000 will go to the BMX track parking lot and ADA, and 775,000 to the Paz Ballpark parking lot improvements. Next, we have McPhee Avenue from Valley Drive to First Street. It's being reduced by $300,000. We have Van Patten Avenue from North Alameda Boulevard to North Melendez Street, which is being increased by $300,000. Now I'll be going over a lot of the carryovers and adjustments that Matt just went over as part of his budget adjustments, which are reflected on the CIP. The parking lot 7 and bathrooms is being reduced by $10,402. Downtown parking garage will have an increase of $197,411. General park equipment and renovations is reduced by $25,110. Interstate 10 and Interstate 25 interchange landscape, that is being increased by $48,842. The median landscaping is increased by $561. Park security and lighting has an increase of $68,536. Park smart controllers and pumps is being reduced by $30,442. Pioneer Park improvements has an increase of $1,577. Continuing, we have the National Fitness Campaign Outdoor Fitness Parks that is being increased by $45,706. We also have the city building roof replacement, specifically the Rio Grande. This is that adjustment in alignment, which will be reduced by $46,632. The pavement replacement program will have an increase of $739,663, and the fiber optic replacement from Roundtree to utilities has an increase of $616,000. As we move along, the Las Cruces Airport Runway 826 extension will have an increase of $192,994. Cinematic infrastructure and soundstage, which was previously discussed, has that increase of $88,868. The convention center storage has an increase of $5,277. We also have the downtown plaza shade structures. That is being reduced by $10,981. Moving along, we're still at the airport. We have the infrastructure improvements, and all of these projects that I'd be listing here on this slide are being adjusted to actuals. We also have the Las Cruces Terminal Apron Design, the Las Cruces Airport Terminal Apron Reconstruction, and the Las Cruces Airport Wildlife Perimeter Fence. Next, we have Fire Station number 1 with a kitchen remodel. This carryover is an increase of $160,000. As previously discussed, the public art program, that is being adjusted to actuals. And Matt Sines went over the specific amounts that were adjusted for utilities. I will be going over those by line in the project in the CIP. The gas bond projects 2015A, those projects are being adjusted to actuals. Water bond projects 2015A will also be adjusted to actuals. The wastewater street improvement project 15 bonds, those projects are being adjusted to actuals. The water rehab NMFA is being adjusted to actuals. Water line rehabilitation line extension, those projects are also being adjusted to actuals. Water rehabilitation NMFA, those are being adjusted to actuals. The water streets improvement projects, those as well are being adjusted to actuals through the projects. With that, here's council options. Both Matt and I are here to entertain any questions or divert them to specific staff that may be able to answer your questions in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Sines and Mr. Cedillo. I think my question is going to stick with Mr. Cedillo, and it is about our I-25 interchange, and if that is just the remainder of the portion that the city had allocated for that project, or if you could just explain what that remainder of about $48,000 was for.
Mayor, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, David Cedillo, for the record. That I do not have those details, so I will defer to the Parks and Rec Director, Sonia Delgado.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Sonia Delgado, Director of Parks and Recreation, Mayor, Council, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve. I'm going to have Kathy Matthews, who's our landscape architect, who also takes care of our projects within Parks and Rec and works closely with Public Works to.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, that is not just the remainder, but it's the portion that needs to be just moved over into this year so we can continue the project. It's an ongoing project, and the overall budget was $450,000, of which we've spent approximately $15,000. So that project is still ongoing, and we'll be using that funding to continue the project.
Thank you. And for the public's benefit, would you mind just really briefly describing the project?
Sure, absolutely. So the project is to beautify the interchange between I-25 and I-10, and also to address some erosion issues in the vicinity as well. So the idea is to create a more attractive entry into the city of Las Cruces from the south.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Councilor Bencomo?
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Cedillo. I'm curious about, I think these actually might stay with you, these questions. I'm curious about the Van Patten increase. Is that like over budget, or what does that mean? And I have the same question about the repavement increase.
Okay. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, David Cedillo for the record. For the increase to Van Patten, we did have a slight increase in the bids that came in, but we also had carryover estimations that did not quite meet in this fiscal year's budget. Since the project had already gone out to bid, we're moving some money over so we can continue with the project and not delay that project any further. That way we can keep moving with it as we go down.
Okay.
As for the pavement replacement, we did have an increase from some of the projects. What you're seeing there for the FY19 and 20 are those funds that were allocated, and we're carrying those over to make the payments as that project has completed. We also have our other pavement replacement project, which is our annual project that will be coming up soon, and we're utilizing some funds that were not used on a match to help supplement the funding to move that forward.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me, David.
You're welcome.
Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, did you have another question, or forget to put your hand down?
I forgot to put my hand down. Sorry, Mayor.
No problem. Okay, I think that's it. So if there's nothing further, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 21-035. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sork?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to go to 9.4 has been removed. Go to 9.5, Council Bill number 21-004, ordinance number 2937. Need a motion and a second, please.
So move, Gandara.
Second, Vasquez.
Okay, motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, second by Councilor Vasquez. And looks like Larry Nichols and Troy Ainsworth will be discussing.
Yes, good afternoon again, Mayor and City Council. Larry Nichols with Community Development. I would ask Mayor and maybe the City Clerk if we could suspend the rules to hear these two items together. Council Bill 21-004, Council Bill 21-005. They're related subjects on the same identical topic.
Christine, is that good? We can do that?
Yes, sir. We just need a motion and a second.
Okay, all right. Then I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules to discuss items 9.5 and 9.6 concurrently.
So move.
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem and
Yes.
second by Councilor Sorg. Sound good? Sound right? Okay. Motion made, second to suspend rules to discuss 9.5, 9.6 concurrently. Christine?
This is on the motion to listen to items 9.5 and 9.6 concurrently. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sork?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Sorry. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, Larry.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Again, Larry and Council, Larry Nichols, Community Development. I would just like to give a couple of comments before Dr. Ainsworth will present the information on these two ordinances. It has to do with sunsetting the South Mesquite Design Review Board. They were a design review board that heard a number of cases in their district about the architectural expression, about the preservation of some of the historical structures. And that board performed its duties in an exemplary manner, and we want to appreciate them publicly. We're sending them certificates of appreciation. And I would like to announce their names, if I may, Mayor, for the public. The chairman of that board was Robert Williams, David Chavez, Faith Hudson, Ernie Campos, and Tony Dolan. They served very well, and as we sunset that board and move it to the Historical Preservation Board, I'll have Dr. Ainsworth present the particulars on that. Thank you.
Troy Ainsworth, Historic Preservation Specialist, Community
No, Dr. Ainsworth, I can barely hear you. Can you speak up or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of City Council, Troy Ainsworth, Community Development Department. We have a very brief, I'm going to try to share my screen with you. We have a brief presentation. I'd like to echo the comments that Director Nichols just made a moment ago with regard to the recommendation for ordinance number 2937 and 2938, in which Chapter 2 of the administrative, Chapter 2 of the city's municipal code administration would be amended to repeal the South Mesquite Design Review Board, which would basically omit references made to that design review board. Subsequently, Chapter 38 of the municipal code zoning would also be amended, in which references that are made to the South Mesquite Design Review Board would be replaced with references to the Historic Preservation Commission. The fundamental reason for this recommendation is that Design Review Board oversight and duties, which were previously under the purview of the South Mesquite Design Review Board, would be transferred to the Historic Preservation Commission for the purposes of primarily the second of the three bulleted points that you see before you, to expedite the process of review for a certificate of appropriateness. So to give you a real life example, there are 3 historic districts within Las Cruces, and the South Mesquite has an individual overlay and its own design review board. What we would do is, by retaining the South Mesquite Design Review Board, is we would introduce a question of authority and a priority on review process. In other words, an applicant in that particular district would be subjected to 2 reviews for one application. And it would be a redundant act, rather than subject a community member to multiple reviews. The effort here is to streamline process and be more productive and useful with our time. Now, to Director Nichols' point, this recommendation is made simply from a perspective of efficiency and nothing else. It's certainly not a negative indictment or view about the work of the South Mesquite, but rather the fact that that board has been diligent, professional, and their work is greatly appreciated. And we don't want to overwork community members who are willing to volunteer their time. So, and I'd further like to add that at no point will the South Mesquite neighborhood lack representation on the Historic Preservation Commission, but rather I foresee that every iteration moving forward of the Historic Preservation Commission will include at least one of the 7 total members. At least one will be a full-time resident of that particular neighborhood. So with those points lined out, the options, of course, for mayor and council to consider is a vote of yes to approve these recommendations to amend Chapter 2 and Chapter 38 respectively, to vote no to deny, to vote to amend, or to table. And Director Nichols and I stand for questions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Ainsworth. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Okay. Oh, Mayor Pro Tem.
Slow to the draw today, apparently, Mayor. Sorry.
No problem.
Mine is more just comment, just a bit of gratitude to the Mesquite group. They have done an immense amount of work. For example, Mr. David Chavez has been a part of that group for many, many years. I just want to say publicly how much I appreciate each and every member. I do feel that essentially giving this role to the Historic Preservation Committee would be an excellent idea, and streamlines and just reduces the duplicity, right? I think it would be having the two would just defeat the process. So I just want to say that that I'm for this. I think this will really be helpful, expanding definitely our reach for others to participate. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to echo your comments, Mayor Pro Tem, as well as thank those that served on those committees for their service. And the other thing I just want to say is how proud I am with, when I first started, 2001, there was Dr. Garcia and Dr. Sutter. And throughout time, I think Las Cruces, it's fair to say, has become the employer of choice in the area. And now we add Dr. Pitts, Dr. Ainsworth, Dr. Martinez, Dr. Payades. I mean, that's incredible. I've never seen a city with such a strong background like that.
And Mayor, this is Larry. This is Larry with Community Development. Also, Dr. Mike and MPO. We have 3 PhDs in Community Development.
I'm sorry,
who? The
Dr.
Regional Medical Center.
Dr. Mike?
Yes. He works with the MPO, sir.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Wow. How'd you get so many PhDs in your department there?
Oh, well, as I said, Mayor and Council, Community Development has more doctors than the Southwest Regional Medical Center.
Okay, that's good. Very good. Well, I'm glad to see that. And I know Ifo's still I think he is still on so he knows that he's come in with a very highly educated, highly motivated team. So yeah, he's still here. Okay, Christine.
This is on the motion to approve Ordinance 2937. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, on 9.6, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved. Abeyta-Stuve?
Second.
Second by Councilor Vasquez. Gabe is moved in second. Are there any further comments? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Ordinance 2938. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, I think the rest, items 9.7 through 9.16 have been removed. Now we go to board appointments. And this is for the Oversight Committee. And looks like we have a familiar face there, a couple of them really. For the Oversight Committee, we have to take certain individuals from certain departments or certain types of occupations. One professional management, the other legal, other accounting or CPA. So let's see here. I'd like to start with under professional management. I'd like to appoint former Councilor Jack Ekman. I'm going to need a motion and a second.
So moved, Abeyta-Stuve.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, second by Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Gondara. There's nothing further. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Jack Ekman to the Oversight Committee. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. And then former judge Karen Ryan under legal. Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
To approve.
Motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Councilor Sorg. Is that a second, Councilor Sorg?
Yeah, that's the second, Councilor Sorg.
Okay. Nothing further. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Karen Ryan to the Oversight Committee. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, the next one, I don't know, but has good credentials. Mr. Charles Tucker, CPA. Motion a second, please.
Move to approve.
I'll second that one too.
Motion made by Councilor Vasquez, second by Councilor Sorg. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Charles Tucker to the Oversight Committee. Councilor Abeyta-Stuve?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Sorg?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to notice of proposed ordinances. There'll be no public discussion. Councilor may ask staff for clarification on the proposed ordinance. Item 11.1, Council Bill number 21-016, ordinance number 2949.
Bring it forward.
Bring it forward. Next item is 11.2, Council Bill number 21-017, ordinance number 2950.
Bring it forward.
Bring it forward. Okay, now we're going to go to City Council member board reports and comment. I just want to congratulate new incoming manager Infill for applying for one thing and making it all the way through the final round. And I take a quick moment to also thank David for you and your team in keeping everything together. I was telling him the other day, David, that is, if you take back maybe 3 years ago, he was director of public works, and we've moved him along pretty quick, and he took the job and he ran with it, and he's done a fantastic job, and appreciate him all that he's done. I've got one thing that I want to just alert you to. It's called the Reclaim Act. It's being introduced by Senator Ted Cruz, and this is a little bit eye-opening. Let me just read you some of this information. It basically allows citizens harmed to sue local officials and recover up to 3 times the amount of actual damages sustained because of rioting in a law enforcement free zone. So you know how some cities have these law enforcement free zones? Basically, it says U.S. Senator Ted Cruz has introduced called Restitution for Economic Losses Caused by Leaders Who Allow Insurrection and Mayhem Act. So that's the Reclaim, which would hold local officials responsible when their refusal to enforce the laws leads to personal injury and property damage. It will allow citizens harmed to sue these officials and recover up to 3 times the amount of actual damages sustained because of rioting in these law enforcement-free zones. Additionally, the Reclaim Act takes federal grant money from local jurisdictions that allow law enforcement-free zones to exist in their jurisdictions. So, this is something I'm keeping an eye on about. It's a wonder he didn't put in there about taking away immunity from local officials as well. If he did that, that means that we're on the hook. Okay, that's all I have. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to extend my congratulations to my colleagues, Councilor Becomo, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve, their award this weekend related to, they are, I think, Women of the Year for the Democratic Party emerge. I probably got that all messed up, but let me see. Democratic Women of the Year through Emerge. So, so proud of you guys, and we get to serve with them. So super exciting to see them highlighted in that way. So very exciting. I wanted to bring up, Mayor, some concerns that I read on Facebook. Several individuals very concerned about their electric bills going up 200 to 300%. And I mean, I know it's hot. We've had several days of triple-digit weather, but I'm and basically questioning what the city is doing. I'd like to see folks from maybe our sustainability office, utilities, to talk about energy efficient ways of reducing that, like having a smart thermostat, reducing your thermostat by 2 digits. Remembering the peak hours from 12 to 8 is really difficult. I mean, that's when the energy is the cost of it is higher, if you will, and so I think it behooves us to have that department specifically put out some public information as it relates to those things, but also then it reminded me, and I think Councilor Abeyta-Stuve is going to talk more about this, but it reminded me that we have filed lawsuits, right, on behalf of the constituency. We've saved our citizenry millions of dollars. Some people would argue up to $158 million as we move forward. Still with these rate cases. And I'm concerned that there's a couple in the queue, but we don't hear as council what's happening with them. And I'd like to see a process or a procedure, maybe requesting a closed session to speak specifically related to those items. I know that there's been some concerns, and I guess I just want to be abreast of that. And if there are policies or information that we need to know to direct Anastasia, our attorney, and Jennifer Vega Brown, then we should do that. So just wanting to say that. Let's see. I want to bring up, again, it's been a little over a month, Mayor, that I brought this up as it relates to our forensic accounting report that currently or continues to be at the state auditor's office, and wanting to see if any of us have heard whether a decision has been made to move on with that, meaning sending that report over to the Attorney General's office, and if there's anything as a council, as a body, that we need to be doing to encourage that review, the timeliness. It just seems like the been going on, and I know it's a very long document. I haven't read that document. We don't have access to that document, but I wanted to again remind it's a little over a month, maybe in 2 weeks since I've asked, and haven't heard anything back. I also want to let the public know that Mayor, you and Councilor Vasquez and I meet about every 2 weeks with interim Chief Dominguez and the deputy chiefs relay.
Cut out, Mayor Pro Tem. You kind of froze there. I know weather is getting kind of tricky, so maybe your internet got shut down. Okay, so let's, we'll come back to you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let's go to Councilor Sorg.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's too bad. I hear the thunder outside. I just want, my comments are pretty short. I wanted to also add my thank you to interim city manager David Maestas too. I'm sure there's going to be more coming here before he leaves us in September. And then congratulations to Ifo Pili and getting the city manager's job. But I also wanted to make a comment on the rash of conspiracy theories and ideas that have been plaguing this city, this county, this state, this country. I think there's a real danger that's coming from that. Bad things can happen when you have these false conspiracies. We just can't trust what you read on social media, and also even much what you read in the internet. So I want to caution everyone in the city here to watch what you read. Be careful, take it with a grain of salt, and try to verify if it's anything that is something that's important. And of course, along with that, how important it is to vote. We need to be reminded constantly that voting is so important every year. And again, the thunder is coming down. I just heard another crack. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's raining pretty hard here at my house. That's really exciting, breaking that heat wave. Breaking that heat wave a little bit. Not sure how sustainable it is to continue to have 100+ degree weather for any of our communities. So that's pretty serious stuff. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for the shout out. I was very happy and honored to share that award with Councilor Abeyta-Stuve from Emerge. I don't necessarily think the Democratic Party is handing out any awards, but Emerge was, and so obviously a huge shout out to that organization that supports and trains women in running for office, which is really critical. So I wanted to name that I was appointed the chair of the Housing Committee, which I'm really excited about. Our second meeting is this week, and we have a full agenda. So I'm excited to bring to the council some really great policy recommendations moving forward. I wasn't able to be at last Cruces, the utilities board meeting for some personal reasons, and so I wasn't able to thank publicly Dr. Garcia. We've all heard the mayor talk about his retirement, and so I just wanted to. I hope he's on here. I'm not even sure. I wanted to. I obviously, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve and I have not known you for a very long time, but in the time that I have been on the council, I've just really gravitated towards Dr. Garcia. He's incredibly intelligent and just deeply cares about people and customer service, and has built a really powerful team. And I feel really lucky to be on the utilities board. I have felt really lucky to serve alongside him. And so I just wanted to publicly thank him for his service to the city for such a long time. And of course, wish him the best in the next chapter of his life. And then the last thing I wanted to say was regarding the news story that we just heard of today around the teenagers and the shooting, and how deeply heartbroken I am about that situation where a 13-year-old was involved. And, I really, I think it's the moment that we're in right now regarding public safety and policing, I think sometimes can feel really narrowed. It can feel really divisive, and I don't think it has to be. And I think when we continue to have these conversations, that we have these young people in our hearts and in our minds as we make decisions, because the conversation really about the way, policing is currently structured is heavy on enforcement and not necessarily on anti-violence and prevention. And we definitely have to be investing as many resources, if not more, into communities that are seeing these spikes in crime, investing into communities and with families that are hardest hit by poverty and crime, and because we're going to continue to see these kinds of outcomes if we don't. And I'm not okay with that. And, seeing a 13-year-old be involved in something like this absolutely broke my heart. It makes me want to fight harder to ensure that our communities have the resources that they need to be able to not just survive, but thrive. And so I know that the conversation around policing continues to be really difficult and divisive, and I don't want to be part of that. I want to make sure that we are having a conversation in Las Cruces that really pushes the needle forward and ensures the safety of all of our children and our families. That should be the main priority for all of us. And so, I know that we won't get to find out much about these families, and that's okay, but I wanted to name that because at the end of the day, these are all victims. And, I always talk about wondering where we failed these kids, right, as a society. And I think those are really hard conversations that we need to have, but we absolutely need to have them publicly, and with all families that have been directly impacted. So thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Councilor Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I see Mayor Pro Tem Gandara is back on, and happy to cede the time to her if she'd like to finish off where she left off.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Vasquez. That's very kind. I'm sorry I got kicked off. There's a storm coming in, really windy over in my area. I don't know what you guys are experiencing, but anyhow, I was speaking about our subcommittee, Mayor, related to policing. I think David Maestas changed the name to community mitigation strategies. I don't know. I don't remember. For me, it has been always about addressing policing in our community, using many of the commentary from the 8 Can't Wait campaign, the evening work session, and just trying to push those items forward. I think I left off, you will be seeing if you go and visit our website or Las Cruces Police Department's website, you'll see a transparency icon, and there you will see quite a few things related to policies, what our stance is. I think that Chief Dominguez is working on stance on 8 Can't Wait. Things like if you need to report something, what those phone numbers are, all the things that we've been talking about. One of the things that I'm looking forward to is, and Councilor Bencomo, we brought up the center that you had indicated that gives free technical assistance, and David Maestas and Mayor will be looking at that and potentially bringing them to have a specific work session related to policing here. One of the other things that I think is important to note is, where are we at with the police audit, and that will be a upcoming conversation. A survey to the community, what they imagines policing to be. And I don't want to lose sight of, I know we had a hiccup last week related to that behavioral harm arm to policing, but I feel that that's central to this. And Councilor Bencomo, I got sort of the tail end of your basically your plea has been mine. My heart is broken, and I'm a little more affected because I knew a family. I work with an individual who her son died, murdered, 17-year-old son. He was murdered over in that area off of Farney, and so it really hits home for me. But honestly, these are all our kids. When we see that 16 and 17-year-olds are involved in things of this nature, such violent crimes, to include a Facebook post I was sharing with Councilor Bencomo the other day, or just this morning, about a 10-year-old participating in stealing a vehicle and joyriding, and then hearing that he had a long list of offenses already at 10 years old. And so for me, it continues to be an important quest that we work on how we're prioritizing these matters, especially in how we are addressing access to all these survival services that should be easily accessible, and COVID just makes it more difficult. And so really what I'm looking forward to those continued conversations. And lastly, Mayor, I wanted to make mention, I know we're getting quite a few emails related to Mr. Hayes and his unfortunate incident with animal control. There had been an investigation done by Internal Affairs. There have been requests, IPRA requests and whatnot, with a considerable amount of the document blackened out. I think there is some concerns about the process and protocols in place in terms of when there's an individual that has a concern about law enforcement, how things are being addressed timely. I have to say I was quite disappointed on how this was handled. Something as and I'm not taking away from his experience. It was a very negative experience, but this happened in the summer of last year, was just rectified probably February and March, and he's still very concerned about what this process has revealed. And I guess I'm asking that we do something of a special investigation. Now we have several others. I'm being asked to come and sit at a local radio station to discuss these issues more directly. And so I'm requesting that staff take a step back and try to continue to mitigate what his concerns are. I know Mr. Maestas, upon his coming into this position as an interim city manager, has talked to him. I don't remember if it's been personally face-to-face, but still not satisfied. And so I think something more needs to be done. I don't know what that something more is. But I just thought publicly we need to address this in an open forum. So thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I had a chance to, if you're talking about gentleman, his first name starts with an M, last name Hayes.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually had lunch with him, and we went out, we discussed this, and he agreed to allow us to use our outside agency, but we don't have it. But when we get it, I think this will be one of the first ones to send to them. And he said, okay, let's see how they work. And we're going to go with that. But so that's what I would suggest. He was okay with it. But we don't have it. The SSG, the one that we use perf, and then the other replacement, but we're in between. And so once we get finalized contract with that new outside agency, I think this would be one for them to.
Oh, you mean the outside auditor, Mayor?
Yes, outside auditor. Right.
Okay, and
outside police auditor, right?
Yeah, yes. Okay, I guess I would agree to that, but it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. I think.
Well, he was okay with it.
He was okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I haven't talked to him lately, but sounds good. All right.
Okay, so Councilor Vasquez, thank you for waiting.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for those comments, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, just have hold on, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Just want to congratulate also Councilors Bencomo, Abeyta-Stuve on their award. I think they should get, their vote should count for 2 for the next council meeting. Just in recognition of all the contributions that they make and have made since coming on board here at the City Council. I'm lucky to serve alongside them, but congratulations, really well deserved considering how many amazing elected women there are, and especially new women around the state. That's really exciting that we have 2 of the better ones here. So I don't really have any specific comments, but did want to echo that it's really important for me in my position that I work towards creating more transparency within the police department and the interface that they have with the public. And so, there was some things on the website that were just really not clear, or that were not very easy to understand from a everyday constituent standpoint when it came to the questions that are being asked right now, as far as the transparency of budget allocations, resources, the types of training that police department has, and we're working on that website. And in fact, in the future, LCPD, I believe, will have its own website that will include a much easier to use interface. I think we're a little bit limited in the type of information we can offer through the existing platform that we have. But it's really important for the public to have answers at their fingertips, and to have the opportunity to submit comments, to submit reports, to submit complaints in as easy as way as possible, that is not intimidating, that where folks feel comfortable doing that. So that's really important. Also just want to share, the disappointment in what's happening in our community around, obviously the minors that are being involved in some of these very serious adult crimes. But also just in terms of some of the petty crime, the burglaries, and some of the things that I know are reported perhaps more in the public because people have those Ring cameras, right? And they're able to capture real life footage of people vandalizing or burglarizing and that kind of thing. But it's a sign that our community is hurting. It's a sign that we still need to do a better job at community outreach and education to connect resources to the families and the communities that need them. We're doing an okay job. I think we can always do better. One of the things I wasn't able to be a part of was the ribbon cutting for the Desert Hope Apartments in District 3 that will that I think is part of the solution in terms of how we address the holistic person to get resources that they need for treatment of all kinds of different things in a facility that provides those right next to them. And so I was happy to see the groundbreaking for the renovation of those apartments in a neighborhood that could really use a resource like that. So that's exciting. Other than that, I think that's all the updates I have for today, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Vasquez. And let me again apologize to you for that. That's the groundbreaking that I had asked if you want to do, because that was in your district. you had said, yes, we came up with a date. I forgot to tell the director about the new date. So we had the old date. So that's why I jumped in and did that real quick. But I let him know that it was my mistake and that you were really happy to see that project move forward. So, Councilor Abeyta-Stuve. And I did congratulate you, you know. Councilor Bencomo acknowledged it, but I don't remember seeing your acknowledgement. Oh, maybe
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little slow on the Facebook sometimes.
Okay, no problem.
And the social media. So I'm getting caught up with all my thank yous. And thank you to my fellow councilor, and congratulations to Councilor Bencomo for joining myself alongside it's Marcia Garcia and Ashley Sanderson, who also took home the awards too for Emerge NM's Democratic Women of the Year. So in a very wonderful group of women, and I'm continually learning from all of them. So I really appreciate that. I do have a few items to talk about today. One of them, I'm sure we've talked about public safety and the recent incidences that are near my district. I'm really happy to have been able to meet with our LCPD Community Partnership Group with Interim Chief Dominguez, Lieutenant Daines, Sergeant Gutierrez, Sergeant Etchler, and our District 2 Officer Rodriguez to talk about these issues that are happening in our district and to work on not only short-term but long-term solutions, because we know that this is affecting a lot of people. And not only were they able to meet with me, but then we have also started meeting, we met with a constituent group as well, just to talk about items and to work on that. So I really appreciate the officers meeting with me and also being proactive about the situation, and know that there's a lot of work that we still need to do and help that needs to be brought into this community. So thank you. I am going to ask for an update on our El Paso Electric rate case. This is an area that I know that there's a lot of things that have been going on, and I'd really like to be able to see an update of what's been happening and the position that it's going. And I know that we have different city employees and other from legal working on this, and so it would be nice to get an update. And I'm not sure if this is something, since it is a legal item, if it needs to be in a closed session, or how that can be brought to us so that we can learn more. And I want to thank libraries and museums. They still are coming up with they are still, I would say, really doing so well at being innovative and creative with social media and activities for people to do while we're still under COVID restrictions. I feel like I'm seeing something every day of a new activity, programming, and I just really think that they are taking this situation and turning it into the best possible experience for the constituents and for the community, being able to bring in new programming and different types of activities. Thank you. I've also been nominated as the chair for the Quality of Life PRC and Health PRC. We will be meeting. Quality of Life will be later this month, and then Health early next month. And so we're going to be working on the agendas for that. And finally, congratulations again to Mr. Peely. I'm very excited to start working with you. And I've already told Mr. Maestas my heartfelt thanks for helping us on this transition and informing. I know myself as a new counselor, I've had a lot of questions about little tiny details and brisk processes. So thank you for that. And that's all I have today, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Just a couple things. I had a chance to speak with interim CEO of El Paso Electric, Mr. Adrian, and about the rate case filing. And so they're still moving forward because it's in their agreement that they need to. But I don't think you're going to see, I think you're going to still see the city and county join teams to try to thwart that like we have in the past. I'm going to be meeting with the new CEO, I think it's in another week or so. So I'll give you an update on that. But you said one thing that reminded me, I wanted to let Mayor Pro Tem know to her. I don't know if you just read these comments, Mayor Pro Tem, or if you know people that have it. But let's just say a lot of times, and I used to do this too. So until I found out not to do this, but let's just say you live, you have a room or your home, and maybe the whole family, spouses work or whatever, and there's nobody there. You turn the air conditioner off, and it gets really hot. You come in. When you get home from work and it's 90 degrees or whatever, 85, and you turn the air conditioner on and it just keeps going. And that draw is that is more expensive. That's where the draw will make it more expensive for electricity than if you had left the AC on at maybe 80 degrees and it just kind of relatively kept it kind of cool. And yeah, that definitely would work. So a lot of times, especially with this heat wave that's going on, you're seeing those increases. But hey, the rate increases are the same. I mean, the rates are still the same. So it's the charge that people are using that's causing those rates to go up. And I think a lot of times, but I like your idea. If we have someone from the city explain, and I think El Paso Electric has tried to do that. And maybe I'll get with our new, I guess you saw where I don't know if you knew, but Rico is going to be moving on. And so I'll get with our new liaison for New Mexico to see if they can do some more public service announcements on how to keep the electricity down. I know they have some right now that says keep your thermostat at 78 or 80, but that's good, but to keep it regularly that way instead of shutting it off. Okay, so.
Follow-up question to what you had?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. With regards to the El Paso Electric case, do we as a city, I know we take policies, we take stances on things. Do we see that and make those decisions? How does that work, that process work?
We do. We actually had, prior to you and Councilor Bencomo coming on, the city had made a policy that we were going to join teams with the county and to fight the rate increase, which we also enlisted 3 members of the public, Mr. Rocky Backus, Alan Downs, and one other person. Slips my she ran for Congress. What's her name?
Marilee Souls.
Marilee Souls. And those 3, in addition to our legal teams, both city and county, were able to really save the taxpayer about $15 million a year. 10 years, that's $150 million in rate increases. So it worked once. I don't see why it won't work again. So I think the teams will be gearing up. Unless there's been a change in policy, I think both legal teams feel that our direction is still the same. And that is keep the rates down if we can and try to make El Paso Electric show why they need to raise rates.
Thank you. Thank you. And perhaps for my benefit, it would be good to be able to have a meeting with either legal to just get informed of this situation and those the more details of those stances and different places that we took. Thanks.
Sure. Let me ask Jennifer. Jennifer, does Marcy still help out? Marcy Driggers? Because I know she was the lead attorney on our rate case.
Mayor and Council, no, Marcy is no longer at the City Attorney's office. The attorney that handles all of our rate cases is Anastasia Stevens.
Okay, so we just went with Anastasia. So there's no contact from your office, perhaps maybe just you in the City Attorney's office to kind of be there in case they have any questions or what direction we're moving in.
Anastasia is in weekly contact with me. We're in contact all the time, sometimes multiple times a week.
Okay.
We last time we all met in closed session, the direction was for her to proceed intervening on a few of these cases. So whenever there's a new situation, she comes to me, and then I'll consult with David Maestas, and we'll figure out how we're going to proceed. But we've been proceeding in the same manner.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Perhaps Councilor Abeyta-Stuve can be briefed a little bit as to what you guys are discussing.
Yes, we can have a person talking about pending items.
Yeah. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that we have a renewable energy case in front of the PRC. There is lots of things going involved in that. It can be very complicated, very difficult. I'm trying to get a deeper understanding. It's not my area of expertise, but there have been, I don't believe that I've been briefed or that the council's been briefed specific to that renewable case. And so they're debating things like batteries, battery only, and solar panels, solar and battery. I just feel like that doesn't come to us enough. And I don't want to feel like decisions are being made without council's blessing. And I don't think that there is a process in place to hear these sorts of things as frequently as this stuff is happening. There is a report that there is some debate and concern about that is public record now that I'm sifting through that was brought to my attention. I want to be able to be regularly sorry, Maren. I would like to be regularly spoken to, I guess, about it, and we as council able to determine the way to. So thank you.
We put it for today.
Yeah, if we can have whoever's have them mute their phones.
The second sentence, her is completely capitalized.
Yeah, David Cedillo, if you can mute your phone. You know what, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not aware of any renewable energy case. Are you sure that's with the city of Las Cruces, or is that with the state and the renewable energy credits? Just curious.
It's all of that I understand Anastasia is writing briefs about and working towards. So again, I'm not all informed, and so that was why I brought it up and would like to see a closed session.
Well, okay. Well, we'll get with Jennifer and see if that's something there that is something that we can discuss. I thought that was with the state, but it might be different. Councilor Sorg?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem also, there is going to be an annual meeting of the Sustainable Coalition, rather, of Sustainable Communities in New Mexico on this Thursday, and Lisa and I will both be in on that meeting virtually, of course, and we'll pass on any new information. I know we're discussing rate cases in it, just how, and so forth, we'll find out on Thursday.
Okay. Very good. All right, so now we're going to go to city manager's report. So, David?
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, Mayor, councilors, members of staff, Las Cruces community. I am David Maestas, interim city manager. A couple of things to bring to council's attention for upcoming items. Staff is very close to being able to establish a timeline for their next mask event. As many of you recall, the last one went very well. Quite a few people attended that. I will have a notice sent out to council so that you're aware, and an invite as well to participate if you would like to. A couple of master plan reviews that are underway. One that's been mentioned previously, the East Lumen property just south of the Mountain View Medical Center. Our consultants had a field visit, a site visit, and another one is in the East Mesa It is around the area of Oñate High School, or which will be Oregon Mountains High School in a year. Main thing that I wanted to bring out on both of those is city staff will be working to assure that council's plans are in place, such as the Elevate Las Cruces plan, active transportation plan, and making sure that items in these developments match those. As we move forward and information is put together and drafts and such come forward, we will bring them to council in work session items or report items so that council is aware of what is taking place and what's been discussed. One major feature that's being looked at, Parks has met with the developer on that East Mesa one by the high school, and a trail system in place there utilizing the arroyo that exists just south of the school. And then lastly, I would like to express my gratitude for council for the kind words that you mentioned towards me for being in the position these several months. I want to thank you as well, council, for your vision, for your support and your guidance. It has been invaluable to me and has assisted me in this time. I'd also like to very much thank all of city staff. It is because of them that your vision gets implemented. It is because of them that the tasks that we ask get completed, so that the services that this community gets to receive is brought forward to them. Thank you, staff, for what you do. For several years running now, Las Cruces gets voted as the best in New Mexico and one of the best in the nation for a city our size. So thank you to staff for all that they do, especially in the current time that we are in. It has not been easy for most people. It has been rather difficult for several, and our staff still continues to provide tremendous services to our community. So thank you to them. And again, thank you, council. I truly appreciate the kind words that you pass on to me, but I also appreciate all that you have taught me in this time frame. Thank you for all the work that you do. Very much appreciated. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. All right. So if there's nothing further, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Bencomo.
Second, Sorg.
Motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Sorg, that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are none. We're adjourned. It's 4:47 p.m. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
See y'all later.